Operations manager Donald Baker is suing his neighbors, Mark and Deborah Taggart, for damage to his home caused by fireworks.
Order. All rise. Now this is case number 479 on the calendar in the matter of Baker versus Taggart. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. Baker, you and the defendants are neighbors.
Yes, we are.
And I assume that your backyards abut each other's?
Yes, they do.
And these are two private homes?
Two private homes, two separate communities within a master development.
According to your complaint, the Taggarts like fireworks, and they use them to celebrate a variety of events. And they have both damaged your property, according to your complaint, and in addition, according to you, have caused your wife a certain amount of trauma. I see your wife is not present.
Yes.
All right, so let's start with the first incident that you talk about, which took place in 1999.
Your Honor, may I provide you with a photo to follow the story?
Yes, that's always helpful. Go ahead, sir.
On January 23rd, which was a Saturday, late in the evening, I happened to be in one part of the home, and my wife was at the dinette area, when all of a sudden there were large or very loud explosions. She proceeded to go out to the patio where that pool rail is. When she reached the rail, this particular rocket came down through the screen and exploded within 2 to 3 feet from her where she was standing. She proceeded to protect her eyes.
You're talking about through one of these screens?
Through the ceiling above her.
The ceiling of over the pool?
Yes, Your Honor, and I have a picture of that. There's the picture of the hole, and here's the picture of the rocket in the pool that was taken the following morning.
So what did you do, sir?
Well, by the time I got to the door going out to the patio, needless to say, seeing her basically just covered with sparks, she panicked in sheer terror, proceeded to run out to the wall, and began to yell over the wall, probably screaming to the Taggarts to please, you know, you're damaging my property and things of that nature. About that time, a barrage went off, additional rockets, and she hid or took shelter underneath that decorative tree. I proceeded to go out and shield her and bring her back into the house. We then called the sheriff's department.
What happened when the sheriff's department arrived?
The sheriff came out, observed the fireworks, the damage. He was able to observe the party taking place.
The party was still ongoing?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
He left my home. I had to escort him over to Mr. Taggart's home to show him where the party was taking place there.
Mr. Taggart, do you remember a police officer arriving in your home on the 23rd of January?
I wasn't present at that time. My wife was.
What kind of a party were you having?
It was my husband's 35th birthday party.
So where was he?
He had gone across the street to get some additional food and things for the party.
Okay, so he just wasn't there at that moment?
At that moment, yes, correct.
And you had a discussion with the sheriff?
Yes, I did.
And he told you that there had been a complaint?
Correct.
So what did you do?
Well, the sheriff had come to the door and said that the fireworks had been letting off sparks, and that the sparks had done some damage to the pool area and had frightened the wife, and asked us to stop the fireworks, at which we did at that time. He also asked us to contact Mr. Baker to make arrangements and to discuss the incident that had happened.
So did you do that?
When my husband returned, I told him the time I was tending to the party, so I was not back where the fireworks.
So did you do that, Mr. Taggart? Did you
Yes,
call the
I
Bakers?
did. I called Mr. Baker and discussed it with him, and at that time he had told me that his wife was cowered on the ground getting showered with sparks. I felt that that was heavily exaggerated. The fireworks that I have, Your Honor, they're not bottle rockets. They're big. It's hard to explain. I wish I'd have brought one, but they shoot 200 to 300 feet up in the air. They're cakes, is what they're called, 25 shot. And the
Did he tell you that damage had been caused as a result of one of these things?
He said that there was damage to a screen. He didn't.
Did you make arrangements to go over and look at it?
Not at that time. After I spoke to him, he seemed to have been rallying his neighbors. He said his neighbors have some complaints as well, and their screens got damaged. And another time, he came to my house, another 4th of July. The only other time...
All right, let's go to the next instance, because we haven't gotten there yet. So the answer is there was never any payment made for the initial damage in 1999. Is that correct, Mr. Baker?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
All right. Let's move to the next instance.
In the following January, New Year's 2000, there was a gala fireworks display. That evening, the winds were fairly calm, and whatever debris that was being shot off was going somewhere else within our community or his community. There was no damage to my property as a result of his fireworks display.
But he did, in fact, have a fireworks display.
Absolutely.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
On July 14th, I happened to be in my home, and again, Mr. Taggart is setting off fireworks. In this case, they were the rockets of this type, and they were going over my yard, and I personally, just from pure anger and frustration, drove over and confronted him at his front door with some of his friends from his party, asking him to please either shut it down or move his fireworks to the front of his property, shoot over his neighbors and not over my property. I turned around and rather than having more of a confrontation, I proceeded to leave, got back to my home. There was a series of other rockets go off shortly after. My wife says, obviously, he's not listening to you. And he did subsequently move the fireworks to the front of his home. The next incident, Your Honor.
Can I interrupt?
Yes.
When he did come over to my house, he was upset, and he did threaten me to some extent that he was going to get me and I was going to pay for this in some manner. I respected his wishes, however, I did move the fireworks to the front. However, all the neighbors in my neighborhood, they don't have a problem. There's 8 feet between each house from my house to the neighbors on either side.
He has a problem.
I realize that. But I
He
feel
has a
that
problem.
I was singled out in this instance because the fireworks that I have aren't bottle rockets and things of that nature. They're
Somebody was shooting those off from your yard, sir. Maybe some of your guests, because they know that you have fireworks, and maybe they brought some of their own. That's a possibility, isn't it, Mr. Taggart?
I guess.
Yeah, you guess.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Donald Baker is accusing his neighbors, Mark and Deborah Taggart, of ignoring his request to stop their use of fireworks. Donald says the Taggarts have caused damage to his property and undue stress to his wife.
Go ahead. When was the next instance, sir?
New Year's this year. When I got up in the morning on Monday, I initiated a sheriff's report. I took photographs of the residue from his fireworks. And, Your Honor, he mentions something other than bottle rockets. My understanding is in the industry they called mortars. They are very large balls filled with black powder that you need a tube or a cannon or a pipe to shoot them out of. And this is the debris that came off of my roof and also my patio.
Did you have a party New Year's Eve?
Yes, ma'am.
And you did have some fireworks?
Yes. Now, the fireworks, that debris is eventually going to come down. However, it's not lit when it comes down. I mean, these shoot 300 feet in the air. Well before they hit any houses or the ground, they're out.
Was that the last instance, Mr. Baker?
That is the last incident, and that is what drove me to take this to a court. I have attempted, I've exhausted every means available to me to settle this in a neighborly fashion.
Okay. Mr. Taggart, every judge brings to the bench with them a certain amount of life experience. You and your wife look like nice people. I don't think that you're bad people. I think, however, that you are not a considerate neighbor. Even though your neighbors may not have a problem with your fireworks, clearly one of your neighbors does. I'll tell you that when I was pregnant with my first child, I was living in a row house development, and one of the neighbors on the 4th of July decided to have some fireworks. Excuse me. It was my second child because it was Adam. Because he was born in August, and I was very pregnant. And fireworks went off and came sailing over into our little backyard. And I remember hitting the ground over a little stool that was there out of fear, because you have a certain amount of fear. If you're not in charge of those fireworks, Mr. Taggart, if you don't have control over them, There's a fear that you have. You hear something whizzing in the air. You hear something exploding. There is a certain amount of debris. You say it's not lit by the time it hits something. But when you see it coming down at you, you don't have a little voice inside saying to you, that's not going to be lit by the time it hits my hair. And I recall so vividly being concerned for the remainder of my pregnancy that I had caused some kind of damage to this baby when I hit the ground hard because of somebody else's idea of a good time. And I will tell you that my husband at that time, if he could have, if I would have let his collar go, would have gone over to that neighbor's house and ripped out his heart through his nostrils. And I would have been there cheering because this guy just did not care. He said, you know, nobody was hurt. I mean, the fact that she overreacted by hitting the ground, that's not my fault, which was basically his response. She overreacted, which is really what you're saying to me. So if she's cowering over in the corner and being frightened, that's not your fault. It's because there's something wrong with her. The debris would not have caused the house to go on fire because by the time it gets down, it's not lit anymore. You can celebrate the 4th of July without fireworks in your backyard. So if you have a neighbor that's had a problem, and if you've been advised 2 years ago that there was damage done to property, and that he was in fear, and he's not a nut. He's not a nut. He says, I want to be able to enjoy my 4th of July too. Maybe I want to go in the backyard and have a barbecue. I don't have to have my friends and relatives walking around with hats and umbrellas because you want to shoot off fireworks. He's not wrong. Do I look like I need help from you?
No, Your Honor.
So, if your neighbor has complained for 2 years that it's stressful to have you firing off this stuff, then you take your party elsewhere. Or you have your party without it. Now, can I see a bill, sir, for the damage to your property? You think there's anything wrong with Adam as a result of my falling to the ground?
Adam is okay.
Bird knows Adam from the time he was, what,
There's
6 or 7. He is okay.
He's perfect.
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
He's a cute guy.
I was trying to help out.
All right, the total damage from both incidents is $940. Is that right, sir?
Yes.
You're too old for fireworks anyway, Mr. Taggart. You understand? It's a kid thing to do. In the state where I live, they're illegal. You can't sell them, you can't buy them, and there's a reason for that. The reason for that is fireworks are dangerous. You never know what's going to happen. So I'm entering a judgment in favor of the plaintiff in the amount of $940, and I strongly urge you, you're nice people, find another way to play. That's all.
Okay.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'd like to think that I can look forward to a very peaceful New Year's and 4th of July hereafter.
Oh, yes, fireworks are going to be tuned down a bit.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Evans versus Esquin, step forward, please.
30-year-old Dion Evans is suing his ex-girlfriend, 21-year-old receptionist Elizabeth Esquin, for the value of a Chevy Beretta. Elizabeth says the car is in her name.
Mr. Evans, you and the defendant lived together for about 2 years, according to your complaint. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you start living together?
In December of 1999.
According to your complaint, during the time that you lived together, you purchased 2 cars. You put both cars in the defendant's name.
Yes, ma'am.
When you broke up, you say she took one of the cars. She took the Beretta.
Right.
And you want that car back or the value of that car.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says that her parents had given her a car, and her parents disapproved of you, so when she went to live with you, they took back the car. She had no means of transportation, and you provided the transportation. There was never any agreement to return this car. So, Mr. Evans, I have a couple of questions for you. Is it correct that when you met Miss Evans, she was driving a Nissan?
Yes.
And when you decided to live together, Mr. Evans, did the defendant tell you that her parents were going to take back the car?
No.
Did she ever tell you that her parents were taking back the car?
No.
What did you say to her with regard to having a car for transportation?
Well, being that I felt responsible, you know what I'm saying? That the
Felt
car,
responsible for what?
for the car getting taken because her parents didn't like me.
That's that's what I just said. You just said you didn't know anything about it.
Okay.
You got my drift.
Right.
Being that you felt responsible because her parents took back the car, what did you say to her?
I told her that one day I would help her get a car.
Good. And she said, okay.
Right.
And what car did you help get her first time?
I haven't helped her purchase a car yet. The cars I purchased it by myself. She has never been with me when I purchased any of my cars.
She didn't have to be with you. When did you buy the Beretta?
On June the 21st of 2000.
So about 5 or 6 months after she moved in. Is that right?
Right.
And when you bought the Beretta, sir, who drove the Beretta?
Majority of the time, she did.
And what car did you buy for yourself?
I bought a Chevy Cavalier and a Chevy Beretta.
Now the Beretta, you say she wasn't with you when you purchased it.
No.
You have a purchasing agreement?
When I purchased the car, I paid cash. All he did was give me a receipt.
Can I see that, please?
She kept the receipt because it was inside her car.
Oh, good. Do you have the receipt?
No, I don't.
Do you have the title?
Yes, I have the title.
Let me see the title.
The title and the registration.
Now, Mr. Evans, you want to tell me why you titled these cars in her name? Both of them. Not just one, but both of them.
Well, all three of them are in her name.
Tell me why you put all three of them in her name.
Because she had, like, good credit, and my credit was, like,
What do you need credit for if you're paying in cash?
well, for the first car, we financed it.
I'm not talking about the first car. I'm talking about the Beretta. You said you paid for the Beretta in cash.
Right.
So if you paid for the Beretta in cash, why didn't you title it in your name?
Well, all my cars are titled in other people's name because my insurance is a non-owner insurance policy, so it allows me to drive other cars.
Well, who has insurance on this Beretta?
Well, I have insurance on all the cars.
Mr. Evans, this all sounds like a little bit of a hustle to me, sir. So, Mr. Evans, you say you put the car in her name first because she had better credit than you did. But 2 seconds before, you told me you paid cash for the car, so that has absolutely nothing to do with credit. So there was absolutely no reason to put the cars in her name.
No, it wasn't.
Unless you were trying to avoid something.
I will avoid paying higher insurance, if anything.
So you were really fooling the insurance company.
I wouldn't say fooling the insurance company.
Well, you see, you got fooled yourself because she's got the Beretta. She could have the Cavalier, too.
Pretty much so, yes.
Darn right. She could go and pick up the Cavalier right out of your driveway. And you could be stomping around and saying to the police, I want my car back, and they could say, not your car.
Right.
It's your car.
I already did that.
Who already did that?
I did. I called the police and tried to make a report on the vehicles because, like I said, I purchased them. They told me I couldn't because they was registered in her name.
No, I said to you, she could call the police and say, he's got my car, the Cavalier, I want it back. The police would go, pick up the Cavalier, and bring it to her house. And then she would have the Cavalier, and you could stomp around all you like, but they're her cars. You got it?
Right.
So sometimes when you try to pull one scam, it ends up coming back and biting you in the behind. You understand?
Yes.
Do you enjoy the Beretta?
Yes.
Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Gail McCracken is suing former friends and landlords, Kathy and John Labrum, for the return of personal belongings and for attacking her 16-year-old son. The Labrums are countersuing for damage to their home.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. Your Honor, this is case number 262 on the calendar in the matter of McCracken versus Labrum. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
No good deed goes unpunished. Miss McCracken, according to your complaint, you moved in to the defendant's home with your family. You were having a difficult time. You were living in a small apartment.
Right.
You have 3 children?
No, I have 4, Your Honor.
Did all 4 children move into the home?
Yes.
So they allowed you to come and live in their home with an agreement that you would pay some modest rent.
No, that's not true.
No rent.
This is what
That's
happened.
right.
This is what happened.
Just a second.
Kathy.
Just answer my questions.
No.
Let me
that's,
talk.
Okay, that's not true.
So there was no agreement to pay rent?
No agreement at all.
Fine. So that they invited you to come into their home with your 4 children out of the goodness of their hearts.
No, we had made an agreement. Okay, this is the agreement. She took my dog. I think it was August. Yes, it was August when I moved into an apartment. I couldn't have the dog there. I stayed there in the apartment for about 9 or 10 months. I don't know how much.
Just get to the point.
Okay, I'm sorry.
What was the arrangement? Either you were going to pay them rent or you weren't going to pay them rent.
I can't answer that because I had moved in and Kathy had not given me, we had not sat down and talked about the amount yet because they were too busy going through my stuff.
Oh, right.
Just a second. So what you're telling me was when you moved into their home with your 4 children, there was no agreement to pay rent. That's what you said.
No, I'm sorry. Ma'am, I'm nervous. I am nervous. I'm tired. There was an agreement. We had not discussed. I can't say a total amount because we had never came to agreement on the amount of money. She needed to go over her mortgage payments to find out exactly how much it was going to take to save her house because her husband was a loser and
Miss
didn't work.
Miss McCracken, don't editorialize for me.
Okay,
The moment you moved into the house,
he was-
I'm speaking, at the moment you moved into the house, you did not give them any rent. Let's do that.
Oh, no. I gave them money before I went in to the house, and I gave them food stamps.
Just a second. Did you give them any money when you moved with your 4 children into their house? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
How much money did you give them? I'm not talking food stamps.
$60 I gave Kathy before I even moved into the house because she needed to send it to Las Vegas to her friend named Jet.
All right, $60. What other money did you give her?
I got her son some diapers and
I'm not talking about
that's
Sun
$20.
Target. I'm not talking about any of that stuff.
So I was only
if
there a few days.
But your stuff was here much longer.
Miss Labram,
I'm
I
sorry.
don't want you to talk to her.
Okay, I'm sorry,
Because you
Your
won't
Honor.
give it to me.
This is what your lawsuit is about. You say that he assaulted one of your children.
Yes, he
which
did.
That's
forced
not
you.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm going to put you out.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Which forced you to move out of the house. And when you moved out of the house, you didn't take a lot of your stuff with you, and you're suing also for $5,000 for your stuff and for the assault on your son.
Your Honor,
what
that's correct. Kathy assaulted my son Saturday night, my son Michael. She hit him in the face with a book. They were in the garage going through my stuff. She claimed this book belonged to her, and she attacked my son and hit him in the face with it. My son turned around and called the police the next morning on her, and
what
John
happened?
lied. John lied to the police and told him that Kathy did not hit my son because he didn't want his wife going to jail because he knew he didn't have a job and they'd lose the whole house and everything.
If that were the case, why didn't you move out that day?
I'm going to tell you,
I'm sorry.
Miss Labram, do it once more and you're out. Do you understand? You don't want to
Yes.
be out of here.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I was
Okay.
really upset.
Okay. Now, is that the attack that you're talking about?
No,
That caused
Your
you to
Honor.
move out?
No.
Well, let's hear about the attack that caused you to move out.
This happened the next day. My son, after he had called the police on Kathy for hitting him in the face with a book, the next day John took it upon himself to tell my son to get the F out of his house.
And how old is your son?
16.
Okay, is he here?
No.
Where is he?
He's incarcerated.
For what?
I don't really want to say, Your Honor. It doesn't matter. It
Does matter.
It does.
Okay.
Up.
Okay.
Listen to me. Sit down. Maybe that'll keep you quiet.
Yes, Your Honor.
The next stop is the door. Okay. So tell me about this alleged assault by John.
John told my son what happened.
get out.
Yes, to get out. Michael said, no problem. He's laughing. And he started to get up and walk out. John jumped up and rushed my son. Tried to push him through the window.
Were you there?
Yes, I was right there. Kathy was right there.
And you
John,
witnessed
he
it. And
jumped.
you said he jumped up and pushed him.
Yes, he tried to push him through the window. And then my son turned around. They were fighting. Both of them were fighting. And Michael ended up getting John on the ground. And he started choking him. I mean, you got a 40-year-old man jumping a 16-year-old kid. That's uncalled for. And I didn't know what to do. I'm not going to jump in the middle of that. I mean, I didn't know what to do. I would like for my son to explain because he's the one that helped get Michael. You be quiet. I'm sorry.
Listen,
He helped get Michael.
listen to me. I'm basing my decision on what you tell me. You were a witness. And there was an argument between this man who told your 16-year-old son to get out of the house because he had just called, I'm speaking, because your 16-year-old son had just called the police on his wife. You were living in the house or whatever. Clearly, it was a bad idea. I'm not interested in the assault. I'm not interested in the assault. Let's get to the property. You ultimately moved out.
I moved out
That
right
day.
after that. Right
Fine.
immediately.
And-
I grabbed what I
Good.
could and I took my kids and got out of there because
You didn't take,
I-
listen to me, you didn't take all your children. One of your children stayed with them.
No, we all left. He went back. My other son. That's why I'd like to call him up here. and
Just
let
a
him-
second. Your other son went back. For how long?
About a month and a half.
Step up here. Tell me your last name.
My last name is McCracken.
How old are you?
I'm 18 years old.
You went back and stayed in the defendant's home for, according to your mother, a month and a half after this incident.
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes.
Why?
Because I was having problems with my own mother.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gail McCracken says former landlords Kathy and John Labrum won't return her personal property. Gail also says that John violently attacked her 16-year-old son.
Okay. Now, you weren't afraid of the defendant?
Oh, no.
You weren't afraid of his wife?
No.
So you were having difficulty with your own mother, had absolutely no fear of the defendants, and went back to live with them?
Yes.
Did they charge you any rent?
No.
They were very nice to you?
Yeah.
They took care of you?
Yes.
Good. Sit down.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I also want to bring up the fact that I don't know why John turned against my dog. This is how this all started.
God.
I had them take care of my dog. Kathy agreed to take care of my dog while I lived in this apartment. Okay? And then half the time, John would call me up and say, Auntie Gail, oh, Auntie Gail, would you mind babysitting their little boy? Well, they would bring their son to me and leave him with me for 3 or 4 days, and I'd have to call him and say, you guys, you have
I don't
to
want to
bring
hear
some
you.
diapers out.
Is this after you moved out?
This is before.
I'm not interested in before. You want to tell me something about your dog?
Okay, this is what happened. Because I had to live in the apartment, they took my dog, and while they had him there, he ended up with cancer. I had to get treatment for him. And then John kept calling him Neck afterwards, and I'd like to present this.
Listen to me. When you
He
left,
stabbed him,
listen
Your
to
Honor.
me. When
He's
you
dead
left,
now.
hey,
I'm sorry.
you're not listening to me. Your dog was living in their house for a long period of time, even when you weren't living there.
Right, Kathy agreed to this.
I don't care what she sounds like a very nice person to me. Now, you say something happened to your dog. You want to tell me about what happened to your dog after you left their house, after the altercation?
Yes, I do. I went to go, that Friday, I had the Fresno Rescue Mission. They had provided me with a truck and a driver and another guy to help move my stuff. I went over there to get it. Kathy decided not to let me have my stuff. And we argued about it, and I said, yeah, I just want to get my stuff, that's all. And she says, give me the key. As soon as she got the key in her hand, she ran over there and hit the garage door and shut the garage. I tried 3 times to bounce it back up.
The dog, madam.
Oh, yeah.
You want to tell me about the dog, which is what I asked you.
She goes, oh, here, take your dog with you that I've been taking care of. And when he came out, he had a stab wound, and it's just blood running everywhere. He was oozing. And the vet said that that stab wound helped the cancer to come back. And I had to have him put down not even a month after this.
Miss McCracken, something wrong with you. I don't believe that somebody who
wrong
took
with
care
you?
of your dog for months because you couldn't keep it, kept your 18-year-old son for months without charging him any rent because they felt sorry for him. I'm speaking. I'm speaking. You told me in your complaint that they stabbed your dog to death. Now you
Not
tell
to
me.
death. I never put.
Now you tell me that they stabbed your dog with a screwdriver, is what you say here.
It looked
Our
like a
dog died.
screwdriver.
This is devastating. Now you tell me that this stab wound caused the cancer to come back,
That's
which is what the
vet
dog
said, Your Honor. He was a family pet.
I'm going to deal with this case very quickly. Mr. Labor,
Yes,
you say that you wanted the stuff out of your house.
absolutely.
Where is the stuff now?
She has mostly everything. We have like maybe 20, 30 boxes of basically letters and knickknacks and stuff like that.
Okay, where are all these letters and knickknacks?
They are on our back covered patio.
Okay. Miss, shh. You're showing him a tape. Is it on the tape that the boxes are there?
No.
May I speak?
No, I didn't ask anything yet.
I'm sorry.
The tape,
Good.
The tape is the day that they picked up what they could on one load and some of the damages to our home and the infestation of cockroaches, which that's why I was going through their stuff to rid the roaches so they didn't infest our house.
Can I please present this to you, please? These people are not the nice people that you're claiming. I mean, I'm not
claiming that they're nice people, madam. I'm just saying that you're not going to pull the wool over my eyes.
I'm not trying to pull the wool over anybody's
Sure you
eyes.
are.
All I've tried to do is get my stuff back from day one.
Perfect. You're going to get all your stuff back within 3 days. You provide the mover. After 3 days from today, if you do not show up to pick that up, your stuff can be thrown out. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Listen to me. Thrown out.
I hear you.
You
I
have
don't
3
think it's
days
funny.
from today.
I do understand you. I
3 days.
thank you.
3
But, Your Honor,
days.
I want to say one thing. I don't think it's funny at all. My dog's
Oh,
dead. My kids have gone through nothing but pure, I can't say the word, that they put us through because I had to leave because he attacked my son.
Just a
And
minute.
the
I
police
have
didn't
heard-
even do anything. I mean, how does a grown man attack a kid?
Listen to me, madam.
It's crazy.
Listen to me, madam. I don't believe that there was an attack on your son. What I believe was that there was an altercation between these two people, and the altercation was precipitated by the fact that your 16-year-old son called the police on his wife after they had been good enough to let your family move into their home without paying them a dime. Things couldn't be as terrible as you suggest because you're 18. I'm speaking. Because your 18-year-old son, rather than going with you, I'm speaking, went back to live with them, expense-free, for a month and a half. For a month and a half.
Built-in babysitter.
Built-in babysitter. No, he said he was going back to live with them because he was having problems with you.
He also didn't tell you everything that he witnessed, Your Honor.
Miss McCracken, you're not getting a quarter, not a penny, not a sou.
I don't
You're getting
care.
your
I
stuff
just want
back.
my stuff. That's all
Perfect.
I've
Then
ever
we don't
wanted,
have to
Your
talk
Honor.
anymore.
May I speak? Please.
No.
Please.
But, Your
No.
Honor,
Oh, my
No.
God.
No, not yet. Madam, you are getting closer to that door.
My heart is...
You're getting closer to that door. When I want to hear from you, I'll call you. You got it? Now, let's talk about damages to the home. That I want to see. Now your wife can stand up here. She's getting closer to being able to speak. Closer, not there yet. Stand up. Okay. I'd like to see the tape.
There you go.
sure than a porno.
That's the carpet right there. There's no padding. The dog chewed the padding all up.
Did you allow the dog to come into your house?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the garage
But she
door.
agreed to pay the damages, though. That's the
Oh,
gar-
well, I'll get to that in a second. What is
That's
that?
That's the garage door where the dog just scratched the heck out of the door.
Yes.
They're lying.
Right. Miss McCracken.
I didn't put those scratches there.
That was never there. You're lying, John.
Miss McCracken, I want you to be quiet. Okay. You say there was an agreement with Miss McCracken to pay for the damage done by the dog. Is that
Correct.
right?
That's correct.
Who was that made with?
Me and Gail. Gail and I were the ones that made all agreements. That's why
All
John
right,
is
so
really the
tell me-
wrong person to be talking.
Just pay attention to me.
Okay.
So far, he's not doing a bad job. I want to hear what arrangements you made with her with regard to paying for any damage the dog did to your home.
May I speak now, Your Honor?
Now I just asked you a question.
Thank
you can
you.
answer my question.
Okay. The arrangement that we made was when I took the dog, 2 dogs, both male, not neutered, she told me it would be for approximately 2 weeks. These dogs were there for 9 months. One, we had to not allow to stay because the 2 dogs would constantly fight. That's why the bedroom was damaged, because she said that when one has to, you have to keep one inside, one outside, because they would fight. So I'd have to take one, lock it in the bedroom, take it outside, so the other one could go to the bathroom. I cleaned up their blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, she had agreed. She said, any damages that these dogs do while on your property, I will pay for. And also, during the surgery that she said that the dog had, I cleaned its wounds.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Oh, my
That's
God.
why I've taken back to the
Anyway,
vet twice.
So the
Ms.
agreement was
McCracken,
she would pay
I'm
for
going to
any
dismiss your
damages.
lawsuit in total. Do you understand that? I think that, you, quite frankly, you got some nerve to sue them. I
Your
really
Honor,
do. Shh, I'm speaking.
I would like to produce this, please.
Oh, she's trying to show me something.
Just sure, she wanted me to move in to help her finalize her divorce, okay? She's scared to death, and
I'm
this
divorced.
is her rap she laid on me to move into the house.
I don't, madam.
Neither one of
madam,
them were working at the time, Your Honor.
Listen to me. She took care of your dogs for 9 months.
Your Honor.
I'm speaking. She took care of your kid for 2 months after you moved out because he was afraid to live with
He
you.
was never there.
Oh, Miss McCracken, you've got a lot of nerve. Now, either you people are dumb to have allowed this to happen in your house.
It's embarrassing.
Or just,
Oh,
or
God.
I don't know what. Clearly,
Big heart.
clearly, there's something wrong with you.
No, I have a big
Clearly,
heart.
there's
No,
something
yeah,
wrong
you
with
have a
you.
big heart.
And I don't understand
Gail?
what it is. All right, so let's talk about it. I do believe that there was an agreement, because otherwise you would be crazy to keep these dogs, that whatever damage the dogs did, she would take care of.
She never
Because
had all those
that
dogs.
sounds logical to me.
Absolutely.
It doesn't sound reasonable to me that you would keep these dogs that were doing damage to your house, and one dog was returned to you. Is that right?
The one
Speak.
dog she'd only
Just-
had for a little time. And
It
he
was
tore up the
returned
carpet
to
and
you.
I took him to the SPCA. 'cause I
It
couldn't do
was
anything with him.
returned to you.
I just want to say she
No, I
stated
don't
that
want
the
you to
dogs
say
were there
anything.
9 months. There was only one dog there.
I understand that.
Okay, the other dog was only there a little bit.
I
okay?
said that.
Oh, something wrong with you. She
I'm
stayed
mad.
away from her longer.
I'm very mad.
No, you can be very mad, but
And
you
he's
have absolutely
lying.
no
I don't
basis to be
appreciate
very
you talking
mad.
about my mother like that, all right?
I want to tell you something.
All right?
He's got him. You have a nerve filing a complaint against them for $5,000. I have no idea why you think that you are entitled to claim $5,000 in damages against these people. Absolutely none. You moved with your 4 children into their home, which, believe me, to have
Big
5
mistake.
people in the home, not paying a quarter, by the way, not a quarter, nothing, except your food stamps.
Oh, I stocked their whole refrigerator and had to leave and had nothing, no money, no nothing.
Kids have to
And you
eat.
took all the food with you when you left,
kept
Gail.
it, Cal.
All right, quiet. Okay, the only thing she's getting out of this lawsuit is getting her stuff.
Thank God. Thank
3
you,
days.
Your Honor.
And
I
what you're
appreciate
getting
it.
on your counterclaim is the $120 that you got as an estimate to repair the carpet. Don't be foolish again. You do not invite strangers into your home. Do you understand?
Strange.
Yes, Your Honor.
Very
Don't invite strangers into your home.
She also agreed to have our house sprayed for the roaches she brought in, too.
I thought, you
Listen
know
to
what?
me.
I
Listen
told
to
him
me.
in
You
the
may have had
beginning.
roaches in there, and I don't.
I've never before.
and,
Right.
and maybe not.
Absolutely
But
not.
when the
I
agreement
told
she
him
made is
before
an
I would
agreement,
put
though?
everything in storage until and
Don't
get rid of it,
do
vomit,
it.
and do it all. No,
We're
no,
not.
no, bring it in
Do you
there. They
understand?
needed my money
Never.
for their house.
Ever.
They were
it's
going to lose their
embarrassing that-
house.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
23-year-old retail salesperson Heather Watt is suing her ex-fiancé, 19-year-old security officer John Sanderson, for depositing bad checks into her account and then withdrawing the money. John is countersuing, claiming Heather stalked him and caused him to lose his job.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. Now, this is case number 481 on the calendar in the matter of Watt versus Sanderson.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Watt, can you tell me how long the defendant was your boyfriend before he asked you for money?
Approximately 3 months or so.
And what did he tell you he needed the money for?
He didn't really say. He needed it for various things. He said one of the things he used money for was to pay his grandmother, who he lives with. And he just said that he needed money.
And what did you say?
I told him that since he had just gotten a checking account, I told him if he wrote me a check, I could deposit it and withdraw it immediately and give him the cash.
You had an ATM card.
Yes,
And did you do that?
I did.
When was the first withdrawal that you made?
The first withdrawal was on November 4th.
You have your bank statement?
Yes, I do.
Can I see it, please?
I also have the canceled checks.
I'd like to see those two. First one was November 4th, 2000. And how much did you take out then?
The first one was $100, and a little while after, he said he needed more on the same date, so he gave me another check for $100.
Okay. And then I see there's another check here the next day.
Right.
$300.
Yes, he decided he needed more money for whatever, various things, and he asked me to do it again, and he assured me that his bank would cover it no matter what, so I did him that favor again.
Was he working at the time?
I believe he was.
Do you remember where he was working?
At a grocery store.
Did he ever give you the money back?
No, he didn't. He promised me that he would pay me back after I informed him that the checks came back canceled. But then the relationship started getting bad. He started getting verbally abusive and controlling, and we were heading towards a breakup, and he told me because he was getting aggravated with me, he wasn't giving me my money back ever.
You also say he has a jacket of yours.
Yes, he borrowed it and took it to Maryland to visit his mother and left it there and never gave it back to me. He said he would do everything he could to get it back, and he hasn't.
Go.
As far as the jacket, we traded jackets. I did leave the jacket in Maryland.
What do you mean you traded jackets?
We traded jackets. I had a South Pole jacket, and she liked it. She wanted to wear it, and I said, well, It was in the beginning of the relationship, so I said, well, if you give me your jacket, then we can trade.
Did she give you back the jacket that you were wearing that was hers?
No, she burned it with a cigarette.
Is that right?
Your Honor, I don't smoke.
Where is his jacket?
It's at my house. I told him he would get his jacket back when I get mine back. I had his jacket dry cleaned for him and everything because it was in dirty condition when I got it.
Your Honor, I was smoking a cigarette, and she had hated it when I smoked. So she took the cigarette and tried to put it out on the bureau, but I yelled at her, and she didn't say anything, but she just turned and put it out on the sleeve of the jacket.
Well, why don't you give her back her jacket?
Because she hasn't reimbursed me or returned my jacket. Also, I have attempted to get the jacket back into Massachusetts. My mother is handicapped now. She doesn't have the means to get to a post office to send it out or anything. She's been waiting for the time when my sister goes out there to visit to mail it back.
All right, we'll take care of the jacket. Now let's get to the money.
As far as the checks, I did write her the checks, of course.
Try looking at me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because I want to see you looking at me when you tell me the story.
Okay. I wrote her the checks because she had an enormous debt in credit cards, and she was falling behind, and she asked me if she could borrow some money. So I wrote her the checks eventually because she kept hounding me, and I didn't have any money at the time. She didn't believe that I didn't have any money in the account, and also I have a ATM card. I have it with me. I have an ATM card that has a credit card logo on it, and she was convinced that it would just charge to my account. If I'd written the checks and they bounced, it'd just charge to my account, and she'd get the money, and we'd just pay it back later.
Your Honor, that's a lie.
Just a minute. So far, I'm not getting the whole story, sir. Come on.
You know, she deposited the checks, and it takes a few days to post to the account to clear through the bank and everything. She immediately withdrew the money, bought some money orders, sent them out to her credit card companies, and then a few days later, the bank realized that they were bound. There was no money to cover the checks, so they withdrew the money from the account.
Let me put this in shorthand. You say that you wrote out these checks to her knowing that you had no money in your account. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a crime. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Did you know it before I just told you?
Yeah. I just wanted her off my back.
So in order to help her, you wrote her a series of bad checks. That's what you're telling me.
I wrote her the checks because she had been hounding me for almost a week.
Hounding. So you wrote her a series of bad checks to pay her credit card.
Right.
Is that true?
That is not at all true. When we went to the ATM together, he wrote the checks in the car. We drove to the ATM, and I took the money out of the ATM machine, and it passed from my hands to his, and I never saw it again.
Right, because that's the same date as the withdrawals, dates that you wrote the checks, right?
Yeah.
So what I have to do is now choose which story sounds more reasonable. Now, I could do that by doing those the way we used to choose, you know? Or I can just muster all of my judicial skills, all of my common sense experience, and say that your story sounds a little fishy to me. And if it doesn't make sense, it's not true. Now let's get to your counterclaim. Now that I have disposed of the $500 that you owe her. You are countersuing her for thousands of dollars because you say she harassed you at your job. You were working at a grocery store?
Yes, ma'am.
Costing you thousands of dollars in lost wages.
No, it was $1,000 lost wages.
And what was the other $2,000 for?
Things that she had charged on my credit card.
So let's get to the harassment first. So you're saying that she was harassing you at the grocery store you were working while you were dating?
Yes.
So get over it. If you're still dating, evidently you didn't find that too much of a harassment.
No, I was trying to convince her not to come down so often. And
So after you tried to convince her not to come down too often and she came down, you still went out to dinner, went to the movies, did whatever you wanted to do. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So forget it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Heather Watts says ex-fiancé John Sanderson deposited bad checks into her account and then withdrew the money.
What she charged on your credit cards?
A sweatshirt, a couple of remote control cars. For her nephews for Christmas, she needed to borrow money.
Did you ever charge anything on his credit card?
No, he bought me a sweatshirt, and he bought me a Walkman, and they were both gifts offered by him.
Right here.
Let me see.
One of my receipts, one of my statements.
Do you have
I
other
actually
statements?
filed for
Do you have
less.
do you have other statements?
Other statements? Yes, I do.
Well, other statements that you wanted me to look at. Okay, you have here written actual amount for a Walkman, $102,
Yeah.
and general merchandise, $83.97.
Yes.
She says you gave her this Walkman as a gift.
No. Her
Your
Walkman
Honor,
that she had.
I had a very good Walkman. It was practically in brand new shape, and I gave him that, and he bought me a new Walkman. So the Walkman I gave him was practically brand new. So it was almost like a trade-off, and it was a gift from him.
The Walkman that she had previously.
Yes.
It wasn't working well, and she wanted a new one. And I said, all right, let's go to Radio Shack and get one.
Oh, fine. So you bought her a Walkman. Perfect. And actual amount for radio-controlled car for her nephew,
Yes.
$83.97. What is that?
I don't know. I know he bought himself a radio-controlled car. He brought it to my job and to my house.
I bought myself one also.
Get out of here.
No.
Mr. Sanderson, Mr. Sanderson, let me tell you something, sir. You're a really good fibber.
But I really did get her that
Really,
car.
really.
Really.
Just like you really, really wrote these bad checks, right?
Yes.
Right. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. Your counterclaim is dismissed. I don't know if you're ever going to get your jacket back. Do you understand?
Yes.
So we're his. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She totally reversed everything, turned everything I said into a lie.
I just think Judge Judy's a great lady, and she did a good job.
And now the next case.
All parties on Green versus Comer. Step forward, please.
24-year-old cocktail waitress Amanda Breen is suing her former friend and roommate, 26-year-old cosmetologist Tennille Comer, for unpaid rent and bills. Amanda says when Tennille began dating her ex-fiancé, she asked her to move.
Briefly, Miss Breen, according to what I've read in your complaint, you and the defendants were friends and roommates. You were engaged when you moved in together or when you were living together. That engagement terminated.
Yes.
Then there came a time that your friend and roommate started to date your former fiancé.
Yes.
That created a certain amount of friction.
Yes.
And you decided ultimately to give her a choice.
Yes.
Either she moved or you were going to move.
That's right.
She moved, you claim, owing you some rent and other assorted bills.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, when did you give her this ultimatum?
It was October of 2000.
And how did you communicate that with her?
There was a letter that I wrote to her. I spent 3 days compiling a letter letting her know how I felt about the situation.
Do you have the copy of that letter?
No, I did not take a
Do you
copy
have
of
a
it,
copy?
unfortunately.
May I see it, please?
Sure. On page 4, it's highlighted where she states that if I move out, she cut her losses, I pay nothing. No,
that's
it
okay.
says,
Shh.
it says that if I move out.
Just a minute. When did you ultimately move out of the apartment?
Middle of November.
Did you pay November's rent?
No, I did not.
Excuse me, Your Honor, I may shed some light into that.
I didn't ask you a question yet.
Okay.
Amanda told me that if I would move out, I would pay nothing. She also told me that if I would move out, her mom would pay my half of the rent until she found a new roommate. In the letter, she states that if I move out, she cuts her losses, I pay nothing.
No, that's not what it said. She says, I'll cut my losses. So you stayed until mid-November.
She actually
Now-
was there until the 27th of November. Was the last day she moved her stuff out.
Is that right? 27th of November?
No, it was the middle of November, Your Honor.
What?
That's a lie because
Don't say lie.
I was at Amanda's house.
I assume you're her mother.
I am, and I was at Amanda's house the day that Tennille signed off on the lease, and she looked right at me and said, I signed off on this lease, I owe this money, Amanda's not going to get stuck paying it no matter what. I was there to make sure that she didn't take things of Amanda, help Amanda move things into her bedroom and lock it up because Tennille was taking things from her. And she called her father while she was there and said, Daddy, I don't have to move out today.
It doesn't make any difference. She was there past the first of the month. She's there past the
Exactly.
first. She's there past the first of the month, and this way, well into the month, it seems to me she has to pay rent. Now, you said something very respectfully you want to contribute, so I'll let you stand up here. You are former fiancé, current boyfriend?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, your name?
My name is Brian Hansen.
So what do you know?
I received a phone call in November from Amanda stating that if I would get Tennille out of the apartment, that the rent would be waived.
No phone call.
And
Never
all
happened.
all bills, everything owed, it would be waived.
So she made this arrangement with you,
Yes.
but she had no such conversation with the defendant.
Yes, she did.
When?
November 10th.
No. On November 10th, she sat in my living room and
No,
told me she knew it was her obligation to pay
I
the
don't
money.
understand that. Why would she have a discussion with you waiving the rent for November when you were still living there in November and you were
Because-
planning to move?
Because she wanted me out of the apartment. There had
You
been,
wanted to be out of the apartment, I assume.
No.
She chose to move out.
I did choose,
Now you can sit down because I wasn't addressing you.
I did choose to move out. It was a hostile environment. I don't know.
Right. Nobody wants to live in a hostile environment. And you have to pay rent in November. How much was the whole rent?
The whole rent was $745. There was a late fee that I was charged because her half was not paid, and the total that I had to pay to keep my apartment was $398
For her half.
for her half.
Okay.
Correct.
Was there ever a discussion, Ms. Comer, that you did in fact owe certain monies for past bills?
Yes.
She outlines a couple of things here. Still owe me $192.49.
That was grocery shopping, stuff for redecorating the apartment, trips to Costco for household items that I had receipts stapled together on the fridge, and she went through them in June and left me this note with how much she owed me.
Let me see.
In her handwriting.
Okay. Because that will make it easier. Otherwise, I would tell you just forget about it.
And that's the only proof I have left of it, was the note she left me in her handwriting.
Okay. Did you pay her any money towards this account after June 13th?
I'm looking for that. No, I paid $170.36 on 5/25.
No, 5/25. I said after 6/13.
No.
Your Honor, may I approach?
No.
I just don't understand why she would write me this letter saying that these bills are wiped away.
Well, I read the letter very briefly, Ms. Comer, that said how hurt she was that as a friend and a roommate, you chose to enter a relationship with her former fiancé within weeks of their breaking up, and she was very, very hurt. And let's quote exactly what she says here. If you give me the money you owe me, I'll move out. I'll cut my losses, pay you nothing, and you get all your expletive deleted out of my apartment ASAP. And if you don't have your stuff out by November 30th, I have plenty of people who will want to come over here and help me get rid of you. I refuse to live with someone I can't trust, and trusting you is a joke. So if you're asking me why she might have said something that you interpret as, I'll forgive all the money that you owe me, she did it because she was clearly angry and hurt. Ms. Breen, on the flip side.
Yes.
Better now than later.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Affairs of the heart are a very, very difficult thing. I'll tell you that I don't believe that these two people decided to hurt you intentionally by entering into a relationship together.
Right.
I don't think that that's how it started. I absolutely understand the nature of your letter, but you have to understand that they're probably not bad people. They just got caught up in a relationship, and somebody had to get hurt. But I don't think the design of it was to hurt you.
No.
You agree?
I agree.
Okay. Does she owe you any other big bills?
The phone bill came up to $173.13 total. Half of that was $86.57. I have the bills here showing.
Show them to her.
I have the bills here showing exactly how much is due. Statement ending November 28th, which she moved out November 30th. So it is still her responsibility.
Take care of that, Judy.
No problem.
And sorry. And in order for the phone to not be disconnected, I eventually did have to pay the entire amount.
Pay attention.
Okay.
Those are for June, July, August, September, October, until November 28th. Is that
Yes.
right? Okay. What else? Did you pay this bill?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. What else?
$108.52 for the PUD. And
What is that?
That's our power, our electricity.
Show it to her, please.
June through November, the total owed was $217. What does it say? 03, and I divided that in half. Half of it owed by her.
Any question about this bill?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. $774.
$774. That's very close to what I came up with as well.
Move on.
Move on.
Good.
Definitely.
Good luck. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $774. That's all.
Jones is suing former friend, 43-year-old UPS driver Daniel Fills, for pain and suffering due to an assault. Sharon says Daniel dragged her 30 feet with his car when she rebuffed his advances.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. Now, this is case number 273 on the calendar in the matter of Jones versus Fills. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Ms. Jones, according to your complaint, you and the defendant, who were friends, got into an altercation in his car. You had called him to take you to some sort of party to see if there was anything going on that evening. He was nice enough. He came over and picked you up at your house, correct?
Yes.
What time was this?
It was about 12, maybe.
At night?
12:30, yes.
Had you been drinking that night?
Yes, I had, before I left my house, before he picked me up, I had two 16 ounces of beer.
And so he picked you up, and what happened when you got into the car?
Well, when I got into the car, we were laughing, talking, you know, having a good time, driving. When we got into Dorchester, I said, so where are we going? He was like, we're going to my house. And I'm like, why are we going to your house? I want to go out. You know, are you having a party at your house? He's like, we're going to my house. I want to have some sex with you. He calls me shoo-shoo. And I was like, I don't think so. You know better than that. I was like, look, just take me home. He got really upset, started like screaming, you always give me a problem, and you people this, you people that. Then he gets out of his car. He takes his keys and his cell phone, gets out of his car, goes across the street, and urinates. Then a yellow cab drives by, and he jumps into the yellow cab and takes off in the cab. So I'm like, oh my God, where is he going? He's gone in this cab. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in this car, you know, in the middle of nowhere, because the argument went on for hours, Miss Judy, for a long time. It did, over this. He was refusing.
For hours?
Well, for at least like a couple of hours, because he was refusing to bring me home.
What were you doing, just driving around for hours?
Well, we were parked, yes, we were parked, okay.
And arguing?
Right.
Okay.
Arguing big time. So anyway, he leaves me sitting in his car, no keys, you know, nothing, in the middle of nowhere, in Dorchester on Bowden Street, which is a very high crime area, very dangerous area. So I'm just sitting there and wondering where he is. So finally I get out the car, I go around to the driver's side, and I'm looking like up the street to see, can I see a payphone, or looking down that way to see, could I see him? He comes back in the cab, and he gets out the cab. He comes, I said, Danny, look, this is ridiculous. Just take me home. This is just absolutely ridiculous. Please just take me home. He comes charging across the street, okay, pushing and shoving me all up against the car. He bit me in my wrist, jumped in his car. Meanwhile, I'm trying to reach in the car on the driver's side, get my pocketbook, and, you know, like, and trying to, you know, just struggling to trying to get in the car, because I'm like, oh God, he is not going to leave me out here by myself this time of night. Meanwhile, he gets in the car somehow.
You were outside of the car?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And my coat, my pocketbook, everything was shut into the car, and this man dragged me at least about 30 feet.
And then what happened?
I'm screaming, Danny, please, please stop, Danny. He heard me screaming. I can look at the thing and see that he was going like 30, 35 miles per hour. And I'm screaming, Danny, 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 please stop, please stop, please stop. He would not stop. Then finally he stops short, okay, and just drops me. Just drops me. Opens the door and just drops me. So I get up all, you know, crazy, you know, like I was just like in shock. And I went to a payphone. I dialed 911. I called my husband. My husband and the police and the ambulance, all three showed up at the same time. I refused the ambulance out there because I wanted to go to the hospital. I was just so upset, I just wanted to go home. I just wanted to go home.
So you refused medical treatment?
At that time.
So what are you suing him for?
I'm suing him for the injuries that I sustained.
Well, let me see the injuries. Where was your husband when you were going out partying?
My husband was at home. He knew that we was going out. He said that because I hadn't been out in a minute. I hadn't been out in a long time, so. And he said, go on out. And he knows that Danny and I are good friends. Here's my medical records. And the instructions that I got from my doctor. Here's the sandal where I was bracing myself. He could have killed me.
Okay, sir, why don't you tell me your version of the events of that evening in July?
Sean Jones called me, and she said that, Denny, I'm under stress. I've been drinking all day. And I said, well, I think you have to stop drinking, you know. Every time you call me, there's always a problem with you. I said, well, I don't think I'm going out tonight because I've been working so hard today. I think I'm going to stay home. She don't always call me to go out with her.
Okay, but you did go and pick her up.
Yeah, I went there.
What'd you go pick her up for if you didn't want to go out?
No, she called. I said, okay. I went there. She came out with big glasses of beer. I said, you're not going to drink in my car. It's not the first time I told you that. Leave your drink away from my car. And she said, okay. She finished it once. We went over my house together. We sat there for at least 15, 20 minutes.
Did you go inside of your house, sir?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And she said, we have to go to a party tonight. I said, well, I'm not going nowhere. If you want to go home, I can drive you back home. And she said, well, drive me over my sister's house. Okay? I said, well, no problem. And my way over her sister, she said, I'm not going over my sister's house now. I'm going over my house. I said, I'm not going to drive you all the way to her house because your sister don't live too far from here, only 10, 15 minutes.
How long did it take you to get to your house?
30 minutes from my house.
Okay, so you wanted to take her to her sister's house?
Yeah, because her sister lives in Dorchester.
Okay.
Not too far where I parked the car. She started hit my radio. I'm driving. She tried to. I said, well, I have to stop. I said, what you want to do?
Come on, sir. What happened? You got out of the car at some point, and you got into a cab.
Okay, the reason why I got out of the car, she hit me in my rear nose, my ear. I mean, I've been bleeding. I said, well, I think I have to leave you. You're intoxicated. You're not going to be able to understand me.
Why didn't you put her in the cab?
She don't want to.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You had a lot to drink.
I did not have a lot to drink.
Oh, yes, you did. If you admit the 2 16-ounce bottles of beer, it was probably a lot more.
That was before I left my house.
Absolutely.
That
I
was
said
like
you and I would have a
earlier
lot
in
to
the
drink
night.
that night. Pay attention, Miss Jones.
And later today,
All the bridesmaids and I got together and went bridesmaids dress shopping.
I told her, well, I don't have the money.
I had 3 groomsmen and only 2 bridesmaids.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sharon Jones says former friend Daniel Fills assaulted her by dragging her 30 feet with his car. Daniel says Sharon started the fight because he refused to give her money for drugs.
All right. You got into a cab. Where did you go when you got into the cab, sir?
I went back home.
Did you call another cab, or did you have the same cab wait for you?
I told him to wait for me.
Just a second.
I have to travel. I mean, that was on Saturday.
You took the cab home, and it was about 30 minutes to get home?
From my house, no.
From where the car was?
Well, that's probably 20, 25 minutes.
I'm getting a headache. You took the cab home.
Yes.
Then you told the cab to wait. What did you tell the cab to wait for?
Just to take my stuff. I mean, my bag, because I have to travel the next day to Montreal, because all my stuff was there at my house.
So you went and picked up your bag?
Yes, because I have to travel to Montreal. I have to drive back to Montreal. I have to drive to Montreal that day.
You had to drive to Montreal?
Yes.
Oh, you were driving to Montreal?
Yes.
Okay. When you came back in the cab, did you have your suitcase with you?
Yeah, I came back with my suitcase.
Oh, for crying out loud.
According to your answer, you try to pull her out of the car by her legs, right?
No.
Listen to me, sir. Let me read your answer. You say, when I returned to my car, Sharon was still sitting in it. I told her to get out because I didn't want anything else to do with her. She got mad and started punching my radio, which cost me $400 to fix. That's when I went around to the passenger side and started pulling her out by her legs.
She started punching in the window. I said, Sharon, stop. This is my car. I can't afford another one. She said, I don't care. I said, the reason why you don't care because you don't work. You don't work. I mean,
You're having this nice, quiet conversation with her. The reason you don't care is because you don't work. It's in the middle of the night. By this time, it must be, what, 3 o'clock in the morning. You got 3 kids, right? And a husband who's home and has no problem with you going out to parties Friday night. He babysits for the 3 kids.
I don't go out all the time. It was just that night. I hadn't been out in a few months.
Oh. You remember hitting him?
I did not hit him, Your Honor. Honest
I
to
don't think
God.
you remember anything that went on that evening, quite frankly.
Oh, yes, I do remember.
No.
Exactly.
No.
Everything.
Miss Jones, he had a scraped knee. That's what I see here. A very terrible scraped knee. You were out that night. You had a lot to drink. You got into an argument with him.
I did not have a lot to drink.
Oh, yes, you did. According to you, you had 2 16-ounce bottles of beer. If you admit to 2 16-ounce bottles of beer, it was probably a lot more.
That was before I left my house.
Absolutely.
That
I
was
said
like
you went out, you had a
earlier
lot
in
to
the
drink
night.
that night. Pay attention, Miss Jones. I believe that you hit him. What reason do you think he would have to leave you in his car? What kind of car do you have?
BMW,
What year?
94.
Nice car. What reason do you think he would have to leave you in an area that you say is not a good area, in his car that I'm sure he's very fond of, unless there was a problem?
The problem was that he wanted to, he was not taking, he didn't want to take me home because he wanted to take me to his house to have sex.
So get out of the car. What are you sitting there waiting for him to come back for?
I did get out of the car.
You were waiting for him to come back. That's what you said. You
Yeah,
said you
I
got out of the
was.
car, you were looking one way, you were looking the other way. You were waiting for him to come back.
That's right.
Why didn't you try to get a cab and go to your sister's house? She
I
was
was
15
standing
minutes
out
away.
there, Miss Judy, looking, well, whatever.
Something doesn't smell right, something doesn't feel right with this case. In any event, I don't find that you were dragged 30 feet. If somebody's dragged 30 feet in the car, they have more than a scraped knee. You did not want to go to a hospital, and when you went to the doctor days later, all you had was a scrape on your knee. You get more than a scrape on your knee when a car drags you 30 feet. Wouldn't you say so?
I had a cervical
Drags you?
strain, a low back strain, and a neck strain. I was
No,
in
no,
a
no, no,
lot
no.
of pain.
That's what you said. That's what you told the doctor. You reported to the doctor that you had all these injuries, back and neck, but they took all kinds of other tests, and they found nothing wrong with you except by your own reporting. You said, this hurts, and this hurts, and this hurts. The doctor wrote down that was the diagnosis. Take aspirins. That's what I'm telling you. Take an aspirin. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She tried to get some money out of me, but she didn't get it.
I should have just stayed at home and instead of coming on national TV making a fool out of myself.
And now the next case.
All parties on George versus Prescott. Step forward, please.
23-year-old cashier Linda Cross George is suing her former friend, 23-year-old teacher Rhonda Prescott, for a deposit on a bridesmaid's dress. Rhonda says she didn't have the money and didn't attend the wedding.
Miss George, according to your complaint, you and the defendant were friends.
Yes, we were.
And you became engaged.
I did.
You asked the defendant to be in your wedding party to be a bridesmaid.
Yes.
She ended up not being in the wedding party, and it's your claim that she owes you for her bridesmaid's dress.
Yes, Your Honor.
When were you supposed to be married?
We got married September 23rd this year.
And when had you asked her to be part of your wedding party?
Somewhere around January, the 29th, all the bridesmaids and I got together and went bridesmaid dress shopping.
Including the defendant?
Including her, yes.
And what happened when you went shopping?
They picked out the dress, which was right here. Everyone agreed.
Nice dress.
Thank you. The dress was for a total of $196. And everyone agreed that within a few weeks that they would put the required 50% deposit down on the dress so that the dress order could go out, and we'd receive them in a few months.
And?
And as of March 4th, when I went to put the deposit, to send out the dress order, Rhonda had yet to put the deposit on it.
Well, was she supposed to do that to you or to the dress shop?
To the dress shop. She and I had talked previously, and she said that she was having car trouble, but that she would make it up there. She had the money. It was just a matter of getting up there.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You knew she was not going to be in the wedding
Pretty
party.
much, yes.
March, April, May, June. You haven't spoken to her. She won't return your phone calls. You don't even want her in your wedding party anymore, right?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Linda Cross George says former friend Rhonda Prescott owes her for the deposit on a bridesmaid's dress.
Did she ask you to go and put the money down for her?
No, she never did. She said that she would make it up there.
So she never asked you to put the down
No.
payment down. So that was sometime in March.
On March 4th.
Okay, so you put it down on March 4th, and what did you do after you put down her deposit?
I sent out the dress order, and I continued to try to get in touch with Rhonda to see what the problem was, if she didn't have the money or what was going on. I contacted her. She said that she didn't have the money right then. We made arrangements for her to give me even $10 a week to start covering the cost. And I visited her home, and all I got was excuses as to why she didn't have the money. So when the dresses came in, I felt obligated to buy it because I couldn't get the deposit back anyways.
So you bought it?
I did.
Did somebody else wear it to the wedding?
I had to eventually ask my cousin to be in the wedding because I had 3 groomsmen and only 2 bridesmaids.
When did either you notify the defendant or she notify you that she wasn't going to be in the wedding party?
She never actually said she wasn't going to be. She just stopped returning my phone calls.
When did you ask someone else to be part of the bridal party?
I believe it was about in August. It was about a month before the wedding.
And when had you finished paying off her dress?
I picked up the dress on June 30th.
And when was the last time you spoke to her?
Sometime in March.
So by June 30th, when you picked up the dresses, you knew she was not going to be in the wedding party?
I had a good idea.
You knew she was not going to be in the wedding
Pretty
party?
much, yes.
March, April, May, June, you haven't spoken to her, she won't return your phone calls, you don't even want her in your wedding party anymore, right?
I did, actually.
Can I see the receipt, please?
Sure.
Did you initially tell her that you were going to be in the bridal party?
Yes, I did.
And did you originally tell her that you were going to pay for the bridal dress?
Yes, I said I'd put the deposit down on it.
You did say that?
Yes.
Okay.
What I understood was if I didn't have the deposit down in time, that she would just forfeit my dress from the wedding party and I wouldn't be in the wedding. I even left a message on her answering machine saying that the night before.
Night before what?
That we were supposed to go back to that she called me up one night and she said that you never went and put your deposit down and wanted to know what's going on. I called back and left a message saying, well, I told her everything that had happened, the car breaking down, and I said, well, if you don't want me in your wedding, I understand, and that's what I said.
I never got that message.
When she called you initially and told you that she had put the deposit down on the dress, what did you say to her?
I told her, well, I don't have the money.
Did you tell her that you would try to make payments on the deposit
No,
that she
I did
put
not.
down? You didn't?
No. I told her I didn't want to be in the wedding after she had charged it.
How much after?
If I remember correctly, it would have been 2 to 3 days after. I can't remember exact dates.
She never said to me that she didn't want to be in the wedding party because I would not have waited until August to try to find another bridesmaid.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
So this is the way I see it. I believe that there was an understanding at the time that you put down the deposit on this dress that she was going to be in the bridal party.
Yes.
But it was clear to you at the time that you picked up the dresses that she was not going to be in the bridal party. And if she was not going to be in the bridal party, she should not be responsible for the other half that you spent.
Okay.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $98. Thank you.
All are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue. Patrice Lockett is suing the father of her child, 24-year-old marketing analyst Jason Perry, for a loan to pay back an employer who accused him of stealing.
Order. Order in the court. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 453 on the calendar, the matter of Lockett versus Perry.
Thank you.
Quite welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Lockett, according to what I read in your complaint, you and the defendant have a long relationship dating back about 5 years. You have a 2-year-old child together. It is your claim that in 1997 you made a loan to the defendant. Again, in 1999 you made a loan to the defendant. Now that you are no longer a couple, you want those loans paid back. He is counterclaiming. He says you vandalized his car, and years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, you were using his car and got parking tickets. He wants you to pay those 4-year-old parking tickets, right?
That's correct.
Have you nothing better to do with your time? Tell me about this first loan in 1997.
In 1997, Mr. Perry and I worked at a company together, and I quit before he was fired, and he was caught stealing money from the company, and they had made an arrangement for him to make payments, and I used to go with him every week to drop off the payments because he was not allowed to set foot on the premises anymore. And after a while, he decided to stop making payments, and they demanded the money in full, and he asked me to loan him the money, and I did.
How much did you give him at that time?
$2,150.
Now, what arrangements were made to repay that money?
He was supposed to start making payments to me as soon as he got back to work, like within the next month or so.
Well, did he ever do that?
No, he never made any payments to me. He lost his job soon thereafter, and after that, he was fired from like 4 other positions, 2 for stealing apparel or money as well. And every time it was time for him to make a payment to me, there was always something else that he had to do with his money so that he could not pay me my money back.
So then you had a child with him?
We had a child together.
No, afterwards. After he lost all his jobs, you knew he caught stealing. Just listen to me. After you knew he got caught stealing, according to you, he promised to pay you back this money in a month, and he never did. So he didn't make payments in all of 1997. He didn't make payments in all of 1998. He lost all these jobs. That's why he didn't make payments. So then you decided to start a family together. Does that sound like very good judgment to you?
You know, I was young, and I was in love. So no, it's not very good judgment, and I would be the first one to say that.
All right. When was the last time you asked him for this money?
The last time I asked him for the money, it was December of 2000. And we were on the phone talking, and I said, you know, it's entering another year. Do you think you could come up with some of my money? And he said, well, I don't plan on paying you anytime soon, and that the first time he would be able to make me a payment would be 2003 because he planned on giving me a lump sum of money. And that, okay.
Now, after 1997, and he didn't pay you back a penny, then, according to you, you lent him more money.
Yes.
When?
In 1999, he called me from jail. He had been arrested on a traffic violation of some sort. He said he had some of the money with him in jail, that he was going to be able to use some of that for bail money, and that as soon as he got out of jail, we were going to go to the bank. When I got to the jail, I bailed him out. His sister and I drove him to the bank. He made up some story about the police keeping his identification card, and he could not pay me the money back again. So after everything was over, he had it was a fine due for $300, and he refused to pay the fine. And he told me I should just go on and sign my bail money over too, and he would pay me back that at a later date. And I never signed.
So he had a fine.
A fine.
Of the same amount as your bail money, which is $300. So you just signed your bail
I
money.
didn't sign it over. I refused to sign it over. And after a while, they said if he didn't make payment, that it was going to be forfeit. So it was forfeit anyways. And he just never gave me the money back for that.
When you were arrested in 1999 on this traffic problem that you had, were you arrested in your car?
Yes.
What kind of a car were you arrested in?
It was not my car. It belonged to my sister.
Just a second. Was that my question?
You said what type of car? It was
Yeah, I didn't ask you whose car it was. I
Okay.
said, what type of car is
Make
it?
and model?
Yes.
89 Nissan Sentra, I believe.
The Toyota Camry. It was a Toyota Camry he was arrested in, a blue Toyota Camry.
Oh, yes, I remember it well. Do you currently own a car?
Yes, I do.
What kind of car do you own?
I own a black 1991 Eagle Premier.
How much did you pay for the car?
$2,500.
And what kind of work are you doing now, Mr. Perry?
I'm a market analyst.
You work for a company?
Yes,
How long have you been working for that company?
3 years.
Who has physical custody of your child?
Miss Lockett does.
Are you currently under a support order for your child?
Yes, I am.
Are you up to date in your support payment?
Oh, yes.
Is that correct?
No, he owes money on it still. He contacted me and told me they said they were going to garnish his income tax because he still owes back money on child support.
How much does he owe on his child support?
I don't know how much he owes on it. I don't know.
When did he start to make child support
He
payments?
started to make child support payments when my son was almost a year old. So he owed money from June. I didn't get my first payment until October of '99.
That's not correct, Your Honor. She's being dishonest at this point.
Okay, so there were a couple of months, but since October of 1999, he's been making the support payments.
Oh, it's garnished, so yes, I get it directly.
Oh, it is garnished,
yes,
right,
it
from
is
his
garnished
salary?
because he refused
Oh,
to
that's
pay it.
perfect. All right, Mr. Perry, let's start out with this $2,150.
Okay.
What company were you working for at the time that Miss Lockett indicates that you had some difficulty?
I should say, Your Honor, that Miss Lockett is making up the bulk of her story.
All right, what company was he working for?
Bagel.
Bagel. Where are
Yes.
they located?
It's in Rochester, New York.
And what was he doing there?
It wasn't as high as a manager, but he was in a position higher than me, so maybe like a key holder or something of that nature.
Okay. Do you remember the name of his immediate superior?
It was Ron, but he's no longer with the company.
That's convenient.
Oh, I'm good at this. Believe me, I'm good at this. Do you recall whether or not they reported this to the police?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Also very convenient. Sorry, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Do you remember the entire amount that it was alleged he stole?
No, he never told me how much. He never told me how much money they said he stole.
Okay. Now, Mr. Perry,
Yes, Your Honor.
before I go and try to make heads or tails of this thing, why don't you tell me? You said there wasn't the whole truth about this incident at Bagel, but it was only partial truth.
No.
So tell me your version of what happened in 1997 when you worked for Bagel.
Your Honor, Miss Lockett is manipulating facts that have happened.
No, I'm asking you, just tell me what
There's
happened.
nothing that happened at Bagel. So to tell you, answer your question specifically.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened at Bagel. She can provide absolutely no documentation because there was never any incidents of me stealing money or doing anything of that nature at Bagel. I resigned from Bagel. She is lying. She cannot prove
Your Honor,
any
that's
of
not
the,
true.
anything that she is saying is
Okay.
totally a lie.
That-
As far as that goes, there is partial truth to what she's saying.
So then let me hear the partial truth before you irritate me. And
I
I have
was-
to go investigate myself.
I was arrested on a traffic violation, and she did bail me out of jail.
I'm not there yet.
Oh, that's the only truth.
I'm talking about 1997, an alleged loan to you of $2,150.
That's all a lie. That's all a lie.
That's not true.
Okay. You have a bank withdrawal for $2,150
I have
on
a
her
bank.
at that time?
Yep, a bank statement that I withdrew.
Can I see it? Did you give that money in check or cash?
I gave it to him in cash. He went with me to the bank, actually. He picked me up from school and drove me to the bank so I can give him all of my money.
What's the area code in Rochester, New York?
716.
Thank you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catrice Lockett says Jason Perry owes her for paying back an employer who accused him of stealing. Jason denies the charge and the loan.
Good morning. This is Judge Judy Scheindlin. I have a case before me that involves a former employee of yours. I don't know how long you've been there, but this person was employed back in 1997. Jason Perry, P-E-R-R-Y. Okay, great. I'm taking testimony now with regard to some money that he paid back to Bagel in October of 1997. A payment of $2,150. Is that right? Okay. What was the total amount that was alleged that he took? Do you remember? Right. Okay. You have been an absolute angel. Thanks, Lisa. Bye-bye. You stole $5,000. Your parents paid back the rest. $2,150 was paid by her. Do you? Because that was the last payment. According to somebody who has, in fact, been there for a very long time and knows you, sir. See what happens when you lie? You think I'm stupid?
No, but that's
Good.
not true.
So, it's not true. No, I called somebody and I said, listen, are you familiar with Mr. Perry? Oh, yes, I am. There an incident in 1997 with regarding some money that he paid back to Bagel? Oh, absolutely. Do you recall how much money he paid?
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Judgment for the plaintiff on her complaint in the amount of $2,435. I'm not even getting into anything else with him, because once somebody lies, they don't get a second chance with me. Your counterclaim's dismissed, sir. That's all.
Oh, you may step out.
I can't believe this.
She was lying through her teeth, and I don't know who Judge Judy called. That's ridiculous. But this whole thing has been a farce.
I feel like I got my justice, and I want everyone to watch out for this man because he will suck you dry.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Chase versus Brooks. Step forward.
33-year-old bus driver Tammy Chase is suing her former friends Susie and Larry Brooks for car payments. Tammy says The Brooks repossessed the car.
Miss Chase, the defendants were friends of yours.
Yes.
And some time ago, you were talking about buying a new car. According to what I've read in your papers, the defendants suggested that they had a car, and if you wished to take over the payments on the car would be yours when the car was paid for.
Yes.
And you did take over the payments and take possession of the car.
Mm-hmm.
According to you, you made all those payments, and despite that, they came and repossessed the car. You won all the payments that you made the time that the car was in your possession. They say you were late with your payments and sometimes came up short, so they repossessed the car. Right?
Right.
When did you take possession of the car?
In May. I made the first payment in April, though.
And what were the monthly payments?
It was $387.68.
And how many months did you have the car?
From April till October.
7 payments you made in total. Did you pay by check or cash?
Cash, 1 check, and money orders.
Let me see the checks and the money orders.
It begins here. And it goes on to the other pages.
And how many payments do you claim that you received for the car?
I claim that she made all 7 payments.
Okay, so there's no dispute as to that?
No.
She made all 7 payments?
Right.
If she made all 7 car payments, why did you take back the car?
Because she made the payments, but she made them late.
Yeah.
And she also made them, she didn't pay them all in full. She was short.
But you said she made all the payments she was supposed to make.
She never paid the full amount each month, and she never paid it on time.
How much short do you claim she was?
Well, 1 month I got a check that was a $70 check that bounced.
Which month was that?
This was in August. When I called her and asked her about it, she said to talk to her boyfriend because it wasn't he owed her the money and it wasn't her responsibility.
Did she ever make up that check?
No, her boyfriend did.
I don't know whether she or her boyfriend did. So you got the full amount for August.
No, I got that. First of all, the payments were late. Our agreement, I have a written agreement stating that if she was late, I would take the car back.
That was a 5-day grace period.
How much do you claim she paid you in total towards the car in the 7 months she had the car, madam?
Probably.
Not probably. You must have a record.
I don't have a record because I've never given her a receipt because I've never seen her since June. So I couldn't have given her receipts.
Look, Miss Brooks, I'm not asking you about receipts. If somebody is short when they give you money, then you keep a ledger. The ledger says, this is what she's paid me, this is what she owes me. What, are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. I couldn't do that because, first of all, she never paid me. She paid my husband. She never paid my husband.
He's not allowed to talk. Right?
Okay, okay.
You're doing all the talking.
Can I tell you how it started first so that you can understand where we're at right now? There's a situation that gets to this point.
I don't care about anything other than the car. You can't
That's
take
what
back...
I want to tell you about.
Go ahead.
Okay, what had happened was we have a written agreement here stating that if she was late on the car, we would, at any time after the grace period, we would take back possession of the car.
Which I never used the grace period at all.
Excuse me, it's my turn.
Well, then
okay, then in July she started making late payments. I would call her on the 5th and say, Tammy, if there's going to be a problem with making the car payment, you need to call me and let me know. She would call me the date of the thing and say, I need 5 more days grace period, I don't have all the money. So there was always a problem. So then there was a problem with reckless driving in the car. So we took the car back once. We had the car back in our possession for 1 week, and then we gave it back to her. Then when we gave her back the car, then the problems continued to start. So what we decided to do, I told her, Tammy, instead of making the payments, I said, bring me back the car. It's not working out because every time I would call on the phone, there was a verbal abuse. I'll pay you whenever I want to. It was a big problem.
But you can't take the car back and then not give her back any money.
I told her, when we got the car repoed, I said, I will give you $200, the money that you paid for this month, I will give it back to you in full. It's not working out. It's nothing but problems.
Just a second. So you were willing to give her back the money she paid for the last month and you were going to take back the car. What about some of the other money that she paid towards paying off your car note?
Well, we never asked for a down payment on the car. We've been paying on the car for 3 years.
Yeah. You've been paying on the car for 3 years and she paid on it for 7 months. But you have the car.
Right. We have the car, but it's not necessarily because of the car payment. It was because of what she was doing in the car. We could not be responsible.
Let us assume that you are correct, that she did not live up to her agreement to pay the note on time, and that at least 1 month she gave you a $70 check that bounced. It bounced, did it not?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So that
But we
clearly
stick it on
is
that.
a late payment. Because it bounced. So that's in violation of your agreement.
Correct.
Fine. You take back the car. What you're suggesting is that when you take back the car, she loses all of her money. Is that what you're suggesting? You have the equity in the car. You have the car. I'm speaking. You're not going to get all this money back. I mean, you have to pay something. You had the use of a car for 7 months. How much do you think you should have to pay for your use of that car? Because you used it for 7 months. You're not going to get all your money back. That means you had use of a car for 7 months for free.
Okay, first of all, I used it for 6 months because I made the first car payment in April. I didn't get it till May.
6 months.
I don't know. I've never thought about it. I figured I should get the money that the payments that I put into it, I should get back.
That means you had free use of a car.
Can I just state one thing? Okay, the car, they did not repossess the car. They did not make payments to the finance company for 3 months. That's why it
Doesn't
was
make any
repossessed.
difference.
The
You
money I was
vi-
giving them, though, they weren't paying the finance company to the car.
Doesn't make any difference. You breached the agreement with them. You breached the agreement with them. They were within their rights to take back the car. You want me to read you the agreement?
No, I know
Well, you
what
know
the
the
agreement is about, but the month that the check bounced is one of the months that they didn't even pay the finance company.
It has nothing to do with you.
Can I at least get my stereo out of the car?
Yes, absolutely. They have no problem with that. They have no problem with that. Within 24 hours of the order, you will return the stereo to them. How much did you pay for the stereo, by the way?
$171, the receipt.
Okay, and I'm going to give you $100 per month for the 7 months that you paid for the car. That is what I consider your equity in the car. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $700 plus the stereo. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Rachel Cale and her husband, 23-year-old electrician Brian Cale, say former friend, 28-year-old Aaron Whitten, borrowed their car and returned it damaged.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 301 on the calendar in the matter of Cale versus Whitten. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
According to the complaint that I've read, you loaned the defendant a car because he was in dire straits, and you said he could borrow yours until he got one that was supposed to be forthcoming very soon. Is that right?
For 2 weeks, we told him he could borrow a vehicle.
And he borrowed your car for 2 weeks. He kept it a lot longer than 2 weeks. By the time you got it back, it was pretty well trashed.
Correct.
So you are suing him for $5,000, a little high for the kind of car that you loaned to him. The car was a 12-year-old car?
Correct.
Okay. So were they very nice to you to lend you the car?
Yes, they were.
And why didn't you take care of it?
I did take care of the car, Your Honor. I did extensive.
Let's start with the windshield. Windshield was broken while it was in your custody.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you fix it?
No, ma'am. I could not get it fixed.
Then you didn't take good care of it.
Ma'am, the extensive amount of what happened was not in my control.
I don't care it was in your control. The car was in your control.
The car was in my control.
So then why didn't you fix the windshield?
Because I was not working at the time. What
So
happened
what you're
was
saying to me, it was your responsibility, but you didn't have the money.
Ma'am, there was 7 days notice. I was getting a threatening call from the plaintiff, the lady, had given me a call saying to me, demanding that I have to come up with $300 within 4 days.
How long did you keep the car?
I had the car for 2 months. The car sat for a month in my driveway because it had a broken windshield, Your Honor.
Why didn't you return the car after 2 weeks?
I don't know.
Why
you are
did you call for
misled,
the car?
ma'am. The correct.
Did you call for the car many times, and he was saying that he was going to be getting another vehicle, that he had purchased it, he should
No,
have it in
ma'am.
a few days. And we called back, do you have the vehicle? No, I don't. That deal fell through. I just don't have that. But I'm getting another car, and I'm buying a motor separately, and we're going to be putting it all together, and then you can have your car. We still didn't hear about it. Then we tried continually calling and calling and calling and calling, and he wouldn't answer the phone. And then we finally, one evening when we did get a hold of him, We said, we will be there tomorrow morning. And he had called us early that morning, oh, the windshield's been smashed. Okay, so what are you going to do about it?
No.
I'll tell you just a second.
We gave him adequate time from when the windshield was smashed, which was roughly the beginning of September.
When had you given him the car?
We had given him the car around the June 20th of 2000. So it's longer than the 2 months that he's saying. That's over 3 months. We picked up the car. We had to go pick up the vehicle on September 25th, on a Monday, after I had to pay for the vehicle to be repaired, as well as we were also threatened by the defendant, stating that if we show up on the property, that his girlfriend is a police officer and that they will have friends from Dearborn come and arrest us.
That is not correct,
What are
Your
those
Honor.
tapes?
This is the tape showing that he did say that they would have us arrested.
What's the other tape?
And this is the tape of some of the damage done to the vehicle.
That I'd like to see.
Your Honor, may I say something?
Anytime.
Yes, ma'am.
This is me trying to get into the lock. He broke the lock on the car. This is us trying to start the car in park, which he damaged the vehicle. No longer starts in park. Here you go. We tried it a couple of times. It doesn't even turn over. Nothing happens. When we took it to the Ford dealership, he had broken the neutral safety switch with the drive shaft. And then when we go to start it in neutral, that the vehicle stalls as soon as we start it, if you can get it started. You can also see we had a Ford radio in the vehicle that was given to us from a friend, and I have a statement from her regarding that they had given us a radio because the vehicle
Was the radio taken out when you got it back?
Yes. There was no
What
radio
else?
in it. He'd also broken the seat to the chair. As you notice, the other chair is reclined, and this chair here is when you sit down in it, and when you lean back at all, it goes all the way back to the back of the seat. This is where the radio was located at prior to when Aaron had stolen it, as well as he also stole other minor things that were in the trunk of the vehicle at the time.
Plus the windshield.
Yes, plus the windshield.
You have the
He's
estimates
also
for the
done
damage.
Yes, I've got
Can I
damage
see it,
to
please?
the engine that he's also done. The vehicle, he drove the vehicle with no oil in it and burned the engine out. He blew out 2 tires on the vehicle. They're worn to the steel belts.
Just a second. You didn't take pictures of the tires.
Because I can't get underneath the car. I'm 8.5 months pregnant. I won't fit, and neither would my husband. But I have
Well, you're gonna
estimates from the Ford dealership and
Just a
things
second.
showing that.
Did the car have 2 flat tires when you picked it up?
No, but you can see the steel. When you wear your tires down to the steel belts in your tires.
Let me see the estimates without the tires. Mr. Whitten.
Yes, ma'am.
You picked up this car sometime the latter part of June of
Yes, ma'am.
2000. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you picked up this car because you needed it for work?
Technically, I picked the car up from the defendant's sister's house, drove it to his parents' house, parked the car.
His sister was living at his parents' house, so she couldn't have
Just
lived
answer my
anywhere else.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
You wanted to borrow this car, I said, because you needed it for work. Is that right or wrong?
Correct.
Good. Just answer my question.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a state certified mechanic, ASC certified, and I was in the roofing union doing sheet metal.
And did you work? Were you employed in the month of June?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you employed in the month of July?
Half of July, I had injured my knee and I was not able to work.
Until the injury, you went to work.
Yes, ma'am.
So you drove this car for approximately 1 month.
Yes, ma'am.
It's scary that you read my mind. Do you know that?
Known you a long time.
When they just fall all over themselves, it's just such a pleasure. Even the smart Alex, you know? It's just such a pleasure for me.
Your Honor?
Don't speak.
Okay.
You borrowed somebody's car, you drove it for at least a month, you drove it every day to work until you hurt your knee, and you returned it to them in a condition that is completely different from the way you got it. And then you say,
Your Honor,
it's not my fault.
May I please tell my side of the story now?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. I was sitting with my witness as a police officer, my fiance, on their couch watching a movie. If you want to know the correct movie, it was American
I don't
Pie. I
give
know
a
you
rat's
don't care.
behind what you were watching.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Listen to me.
I have
Mr.
told
Whitten,
them,
Mr. Whitten,
Your
just
Honor.
listen to me. Don't try to shout over me. You can't do that.
And later today,
I heard a clink noise and looked down and the explosion went off. Boom. Huge explosion.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rachel and Brian Cale say former friend Aaron Whitten owes them for car repairs.
Go ahead.
Rachel, the plaintiff, pardon me, I'm sorry, had said, Aaron, you can use the car as long as you want.
That was real nice.
Yes, it was. The reason why I think it was being real nice is because I've gone over there extensive amount of times and helped them.
Don't go into what's in their mind.
I received the car with damages. When I first met the plaintiff, me and him went hunting.
I don't care about... Listen to me.
It falls in for the point of for your material. The neutral starting, Mr. Cale had to pull his shifter down to start it every time. That was a lie.
That's not true.
The stereo was stolen from their house. It was in a Kenwood or an Alpine, I cannot remember correctly, was stolen. Plus with some
Just
other
a second.
stuff.
Is what you're telling me, when you got the car, it did not have anything in that hole?
No, ma'am, nothing.
No, nothing was in the hole but the radio, the letters from the lady who had given us the radio to put in there, because the radio was stolen prior.
The radio is sitting in their garage on a chair.
So he is absolutely right. There was no radio in the car.
That's what I... No, it was in the trunk of the vehicle, and he stole it out of the vehicle when he had our vehicle.
Listen to me. You have no loss for the radio. You didn't buy it. Somebody gave it to you.
Yeah, but if we have to replace it, we have to pay over $400 for that radio.
I'm not sure.
Well, if you look at the estimate from it.
That's not what I'm not sure about. I'm not sure that you left the radio in the car and that he stole it. What's next, sir? So far you got off the hook for the radio.
Yes, ma'am. The charging light came on. When I picked up the vehicle, we had to jump start the vehicle. He also said that the battery light does stay on. The reason why the battery light stays on is because the voltage regulator unit was freezing inside the vehicle. Check engine light came on because it has a bad O2 sensor. It had an idle ignition sensor.
Why didn't you bring it back to them? Listen to me.
I have told them.
Mr. Whitten,
Your
just
Honor,
listen to me. Don't try to shout over me. You can't do that, sir.
No, Your Honor. I'm not trying to shout over you.
Good.
But what I am trying to tell, I am trying to tell you my side of the story.
You're almost ready to go. If you have a car that you borrow from somebody and it has all the trouble, sir, that you say this car had.
They know the troubles, Your Honor. They knew about it.
You're interrupting me and you're ticking me off. Pay careful attention to me, sir. Normal, reasonable person. And if your girlfriend is a police officer, she's heard the expression of reasonably prudent person, right?
Yes.
If they borrow a car from somebody and the car looks as if it's having real trouble, they return the car. They say, look, I drove it for a couple of days. I see it's got lights on, and I don't want to be responsible if anything goes wrong with it. So I'm giving it back to you, and I'll find some other way to get to my roofing jobs. They don't drive the car for a month and then say, the car had a lot wrong with it, therefore anything that happened to the car isn't my fault. That's what a reasonable person does. Okay. And if you did not act responsibly, you have to be responsible for the consequences of what you do.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
May I finish my...
No.
I have some other evidence. I mean, they got to describe their evidence. I should think I should be able to.
There's no way that they're going to get $5,000 award from me.
They
for
could even reserve $400 for what the car is.
I am speaking.
So was I.
So were you?
I was rudely
I'm in
interrupted
charge.
Twice.
I never rudely interrupt. I start to talk. It's my courtroom. You have to stop. That's the way the rules are in a courtroom.
Doesn't the called rights too?
Yeah, you have whatever rights I give them. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500.
Spies are excused. You may step out.
They were lying. They knew the problems of the car. They tried getting some outrageous thing. This is a classic case of somebody trying to get something for nothing.
At least now everyone gets to see what Aaron looks like, and now they have to know never to lend him anything because they won't get it back in the shape that they lent it to him in.
And now the next case.
All parties on Buersdorf versus Gagnon. Step forward, please.
33-year-old wildlife technician Frederick Buersdorf is suing former friend, 37-year-old landscaper Dave Gagnon, for throwing a spray paint can into a bonfire. Frederick says the can exploded, causing third-degree burns.
You were at a bonfire, attended by a lot of people. Is your claim that the defendant, these are my words, the defendant, while acting like a complete fool, threw a paint can into the bonfire, which caused you to be severely burned?
That's correct.
You want him to pay for your medical bills and a substantial amount for pain and suffering.
That's correct.
When did this incident occur?
October 7th, approximately 6:30 in the afternoon.
Where was the bonfire?
At my brother's house. He had just recently moved into a place.
What time did you arrive at your brother's house?
About 6 o'clock.
6 p.m.?
That's correct.
And what time was the unfortunate event which caused you to be burned?
Shortly after. I wasn't even there about a half hour.
So it was about 6:30.
That's correct.
Now, Mr. Gagnon, what time did you arrive there?
Approximately the same time, Your Honor.
6 o'clock?
Yeah.
Had you been drinking before?
Yeah.
How much?
Probably about a 6-pack of beer.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I vaguely remember it, Judge. At the time, I was pretty intoxicated.
So you really don't know what you did?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Frederick Buersdorf says former friend Dave Gagnon owes for injuries he suffered when Dave threw a can of spray paint into a bonfire. Dave says he didn't do it.
Now, what prompted you to pick up this paint can?
I don't know. I seen it, and I put it in the fire earlier. And
How much earlier, sir?
About an hour or so earlier.
You said you arrived there at 6 o'clock. This incident happened at 6:30. So
I'm not too sure about the time, because I really didn't get didn't look at a clock or nothing.
So you threw a paint can into the fire, and nobody was hurt, I assume, at that time?
No.
And it is your defense that you did not throw the paint can that caused his injury?
Correct.
Do you know who did?
No, I don't. There was a lot of people around the fire.
How many people?
Probably about 18 people.
Mm-hmm. Now, Mr. Buersdorf, tell me about the exact moment when this paint can exploded, and we're going to go through the events of what happened afterwards.
Okay. I recently got there, stood in front of the fire, I was talking to some people, conversing. I heard a clink noise and looked down, and the explosion went off. Boom! Huge explosion. Burnt my forearms, my right face, all of my fingers, my wrists. First, second, and third degree burns. I have pictures here, too.
I'd like to see the photographs. How long were you hospitalized?
I was in and out treatments, debridement, every day for 13 days.
How did you get to the hospital?
A friend of mine that was showing up had brought me to the hospital. I went right into the house and immediately started putting water on my face and arms for about 20 minutes or so. And when my friend showed up, he took me to the hospital. They didn't want to take me to the hospital. They said it wasn't bad.
Who's they?
The defendant and some other people that were there. It didn't look that bad at first.
Did you speak to the defendant after the explosion?
Yes, I did.
What was the conversation?
He was sorry.
What did he say to you?
I didn't think the paint can that I threw in was going to do that. I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm sorry.
He said that to you?
Yes.
You remember that, sir?
I vaguely remember it, Judge.
Well, why would you have said that, sir, if you hadn't thrown the paint can?
Because at the time, I was pretty intoxicated.
So you really don't know what you did? You knew enough to say sorry.
Yeah, I did. I knew enough to say sorry, but I wasn't. There was a lot of people there at the time, and there was bottles being thrown in. A kid threw a bottle in there, was poking at it with a stick. It blew off and took a chunk of his head. I mean, he was bleeding. So it could have been anybody at that present time that threw it in there.
Did you hear anybody else apologize to the plaintiff like you did?
No, because no one else, everyone, as soon as that happened, like Ricky had no friends after that. So I went by his house and I, apologized.
That's what happens when you drink too much. Mr. Buersdorf, you indicate that you have a witness with regard to this incident?
Yes, I do. Nick Burke.
Would you step up, please? Tell me what you observed.
Standing there, I seen Dave move towards the fire, drop something in, came towards me and asked me, "Do you hear that?" I said, "What is that?" He said, "A ball bearing." And I said, "What do you mean ball bearing?" "Ball bearing for a paint can. There's a paint can in the fire." And then I look up and then bang, blew up before I could get the words out to warn anyone to get away. There was a bunch of people standing real close. He was the only one that got burned bad, but could have been 3 or 4 different people that were standing next to him.
Thank you. Can I see your medical bills, please? Who is this gentleman with you?
That's Scott Stebbins. He's a good friend of mine. He's my witness.
What does he want to tell me?
Your Honor, I was standing right next to Dave, and I did not see him throw the paint can. I was standing right next to him. And if he would have thrown the paint can in, he probably would have warned somebody.
Your Honor?
That's just... Wait one second. The facts. Your conjecture of what he would have done or what he might have done is totally useless in a court. You understand?
Yes.
Did you see any of the other 15 or 18 people who were at the bonfire throw paint cans into the fire?
Not paint cans, Your Honor.
Paint cans is what I'm talking about. paint cans.
No, they were throwing bottles.
So the only idiot that you saw throw a paint can at some time was the defendant.
Earlier that day.
Well, it had to be within an hour because he was only there, according to him, for a half hour before this incident happened.
But when he did throw that one in, Your Honor, that
Yes.
one exploded, and we knew that it already exploded. And then
I
later
understand
on,
that.
somebody else threw another one in.
Well, you don't know that, sir, at all. The only person of the 15 or 18 people at the bonfire who you saw throw a paint can at some point was the defendant. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Thank you. Sit down.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Bruesdorf, I want you to describe for the defendant what it feels like when they do the debridement of burns. Tell him. You have open skin.
Open skin, it's bleeding. Every time they scrape it, it bleeds. It's excruciating. They tell you to take more pain medicine, but it doesn't work.
What kind
no
of
matter
pain
what.
medicine did you take?
Percocets. I still felt every inch of it.
You understand, sir?
Yes, I do.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000 as requested. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy specialist Sheila Powell is suing 44-year-old maintenance worker Reuben Hughes and his wife Carol. Sheila says the couple's pit bulls attacked her 17-year-old daughter, Carrie.
Order. All rise.
Now, this is case number 24 on the calendar in the matter of Powell versus Hughes. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats.
Mrs. Powell, which of these two young ladies is your daughter?
Carrie in the blue.
Step up, please. Carrie? Carrie, you were attacked by two dogs.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of dogs were they?
They were pit bulls.
Were you alone?
Yes, ma'am. I was going to visit a friend.
And what happened?
I was on the left-hand side of the street, and I looked around the neighborhood to check for dogs, you know, because I'm in a strange neighborhood and I don't really know. And all of a sudden, these dogs just ran out of the yard and attacked me. And I screamed and yelled until somebody finally came out.
Who came out?
It was a man that probably lived right across Caddy Corner from where the dogs were.
And what did he do?
He threw something at the dogs, and they ran off. And he took me into his house and wrapped my arm.
Were you bitten by the dogs?
Yes, ma'am.
After he wrapped something around your arms, what did you do?
He didn't have a telephone in his house, so we walked across, probably past one house, into the next yard and used another neighbor's phone. And she phoned my mother. She phoned the police first, but they couldn't do anything, so she phoned my mother.
I was called. I had just returned home from a doctor's appointment and received a call from the lady, and she asked me to come and get my daughter because she had been attacked by two pit bulls.
And when you saw your daughter, describe what you saw.
She was bleeding, and she was crying, and I got nervous, and she had blood all over her, and I brought the coat to show that she had on that the dog's attacked, and it still has the blood stains and
Let me see.
the tears. It's on the sleeves and the inseam.
Did you go to the hospital?
Yes, I took her. I called my husband and told him to meet me at Methodist Hospital, and I took her to the emergency room.
Do you have the report?
Yes.
I'd like to see it, please.
And also brought pictures of their house to show they don't have a fence around their house. Your Honor, I also brought a copy of the animal controls report.
I'd like to see it. Now, you folks are the owners of the dogs?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were not at home when this occurred?
No, we were both at work.
How long have you had the dogs?
Since birth.
4 years.
4 years.
I read that your dogs did not have their vaccinations. Why not?
Because basically we keep the dogs in the house.
In the house,
Or in
outside
the-
of the house? They were outside of the house. That's why you're supposed to
And
have
we
them
also-
inoculated.
Pardon me?
That's why you're supposed to get them inoculated. That's the law, isn't it?
Yes.
law is that they're supposed to be vaccinated every year for rabies, right?
Right.
When was the last time you had them inoculated for rabies?
When we picked them up from animal control, that was one of their procedures. They vaccinated them and gave them a homing device.
Before that?
Well, they had shots before that.
When they were, I think, like 8 weeks old or 10 weeks old.
So they haven't
like
been to a
that.
vet since?
No illnesses, no reason.
No illness. You do have a reason because the law requires that they be given a shot for rabies and distemper every year. That's the law. So after this incident occurred, the dogs were taken to quarantine.
Yes.
Unfortunately for you, because you didn't have to go through the procedure of those very, very terrible shots. The dogs did not have rabies, yes.
Your Honor, I guess what she saw when she drove by our house, we don't have a fence from the driveway. Our yard is completely fenced in.
From the back.
From the back of the garage all the way around, and I've got the pictures. We do. What happens is, even though that it's fenced in, we still do not let our dogs run loose in the yard because they are pit bulls. When I came home from work Thursday evening, it was dark. It was in November. I get off work at 6:30. It's approximately 10 minutes to 7. And when I pulled up in the driveway, Valerie and China came off the porch and came up to the car.
Your two dogs?
Yes. And I was like, what's wrong with this picture? You know, something is not right here. So I got the flashlight out the back of the back seat of the car, and I let them in the front door. And then I walked around to the back apprehensively and saw that the door had been kicked in.
Does the back door open to the backyard?
Yes.
Yes.
Which is fenced in?
Yes.
Well, so what you're saying is someone tried to kick in the back door.
Right.
Your dogs got out.
Right.
But if they got out, they would have been in a fenced-in yard.
Nah, they would have been able to get out of the yard, actually.
How?
Jump the fence or whatever.
Well, that's... Put your hand down, madam, please. I see it up. If I haven't recognized you, there's a reason. Got it?
Yes.
We have a fence, but, you know, they can get out if they wanted to.
So what difference does it make if you have a fence?
Well, when we have our dogs out, they're on chains anyway, and they're not out unless we're at home, okay? And like somebody tried...
So the fence is useless?
Yeah, okay, you say the fence is useless,
Okay.
yes.
Well, clearly the fence was useless.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still there.
But it was useless because the dogs didn't go out the front door. The dogs went out the back door, right?
With
And
help.
if the dogs went back the back door, then the second line of defense is a fence. They can jump over the fence, as your husband says, then the fence is useless. So it's like having no fence.
Now, if we're at work and our dogs are locked in the house and somebody attempts to break in our house, Your Honor, I mean...
Yes,
what-
Miss Hughes. You just a second. Your point is someone tried to burglarize your house but was not successful, didn't take anything. Your dogs got out, and there was this very unfortunate incident, and you're really not responsible. Did you notify your homeowner's insurance? Do you have homeowner's insurance? You don't have homeowner's insurance. Well, you should have homeowner's insurance.
Animal control, when I got home, animal control left a thing on the doorknob, and it was very vague. It had nothing to say about, and it's right here, it had nothing to say that the dogs bit anybody or anything. You want it?
Yeah, just give him this.
Well, here, you can just have it. Here. And what happened was, at this point, I'm still not even knowing that anyone was injured. I'm just finding the dogs out. So then, when my husband came home from work, the neighbor across the street said that they did bite a little girl. So I'm on the phone trying to call up animal control to get to the bottom of this and what's going on and whatever.
Animal control had came out and left that on the door. And the two dogs were right out there in the yard when they was there, okay? And he was able to walk up, you know, from what the neighbor across the street told me. He had threw treats to him before he got out and then put the notice on the door, okay? So before she got bit, to me, it seemed like animal control should have grabbed them dogs, you know, because they weren't on the on chains or nothing like that. Not to say that they're to blame or anything like that. I'm just expressing that animal control did come when the dogs was right out there in the yard, but did not take them.
It's not animal control's fault that you had not, in violation of the law, had your animals vaccinated from the time they were puppies. It's not their fault that for 10 days she had to wait to see whether or not she was going to have to go through a very painful series of shots for rabies because you had neglected to follow the law. You do not have homeowners insurance, which you should have to cover such situations, because that's why people have homeowners insurance. And bottom line is, you have somebody who's innocent, who's walking down the street, not doing anything wrong, and she is attacked by animals that you own. She has to be compensated for that because she is the innocent person. And while I'm not saying that you are guilty criminals, I'm saying guilty on this side, innocent on this side. Someone has to pay.
Basically, when you have pit bulls, because of the word, because of the word pit bulls, it's hard to get homeowners insurance. Had it been a mutt, we probably wouldn't even have been here.
Then that's what you should have. Then that's what you should have gotten.
Give it police report.
You like dogs?
I love dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You don't just. I'm speaking. You don't just love pit bulls. You love dogs.
I love all dogs.
Okay.
Just like you
So
can be
if
a
it's
bad parent, you can be a bad pit bull owner, and we're not the ones
Listen
like
to
that.
me. There are some lovely pit bulls, I am certain. But when you use the word pit bull, it usually means people who have those dogs for protection. You chose to get a dog that has the reputation when they bite you, they hurt you. You have to pay the consequences of that. And if you can't get, if my homeowner's insurance company said to me, we'll give you homeowner's insurance, but we're going to cut your insurance if the dogs that you choose to get are pit bulls, I would get a different variety of dog rather than not have homeowner's insurance. That's easy. Okay. What were your out-of-pocket expenses?
For Carrie's coat, I had paid $25. The emergency room was $60. The emergency room doctors to look at Carrie was $60. Clarion Health Hospital charged $132. Carrie's personal physician was $45, which was a total of $362. And then just for emotional stress and damages, that was a total of $4,638. And I also wanted to say, you know, Your Honor, those two pit bulls attacked my daughter. One had one arm and one had the other arm. And when I saw my daughter, I could have cried, and I was scared because I didn't know. I still don't know what the extent of the damage is going to be. You know, she's got scars from that. You know, so far the doctor said everything is okay, but we don't know long term.
You still have visible scars?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you step up? I'd like to see them.
My shirt is kind of... This is where the dog locked on this arm.
Here?
It locked on this one right here.
Yeah.
And then these are just where I kept trying to move my arm.
Here, here, and here?
Yes, ma'am.
And here?
Yes, ma'am.
And here?
Not too much. Just a little one right here.
Put your jacket back on. While I don't think that she's going to have any long-term problem with movement or anything else, she's fine, but she clearly is going to be permanently scarred as a result of those bites. Yeah. I do find you, Mr. and Mrs. Hughes, reasonable people, but who did an unreasonable thing. You did an unreasonable thing when you failed to have your dogs vaccinated. That was just the start. By maintaining those two dogs, you had to take into consideration that if they did attack somebody, they were going to hurt them. They attacked somebody who was an innocent. It had nothing to do with breaking into your house. And you anticipated that when you chose this breed of animal. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Two vicious pit bulls on an attack. If they had been really vicious, you couldn't have stopped them.
When I got there, she had blood everywhere. Her arms were wrapped up. You know, she was crying and hysterical.
We keep them because we're in a very high crime area where they're always breaking in the house, drugs, and all that.
I'm just glad it's over, and I hope I never have to go through it again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Carney versus Valles, step forward, please.
83-year-old Juanita Carney is suing her granddaughter, 35-year-old social caseworker Josephine Valles, for car repair bills. Josephine says her grandmother repossessed the car. She's countersuing for the money she put into the vehicle.
Miss Carney, the defendant is your granddaughter.
Yes, she is.
You co-signed a loan for your granddaughter to buy a car. She did not have good enough credit to take out a loan herself. You say it was your agreement with her that she would work on clearing her credit so that eventually she could put the car loan in her name. She did not do that. And a year and a half after the car was purchased, you repossessed the car. When you repossessed the car, you had it fixed, and you spent $2,779 to fix the car. You want her to pay you back for the money that you spent to fix up the car. Your granddaughter is countersuing. She wants you to reimburse her for the down payment that she put on the car, which was $1,500, and for all the payments that she made on the car during the time that she had the car. Is that right?
Yes.
When was this car purchased, Miss Carney?
January of '99.
And when did you repossess the car?
September 2000.
Who maintained insurance on the car?
She did, but she dropped it in June of 2000.
Did you drop the insurance?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Because she came and threatened to take the car from me. Because she wanted to take a loan out on her house, and she could not do that because my car payment was stopping her.
When you dropped the insurance on the car, did you continue to drive the car?
Yes.
Well, you can't do that. What kind of car was it?
It was a 98 Hyundai Elantra.
And how much was the total purchase price?
$12,092.
Did you make all the car payments on the car?
Yes, I did.
Okay, now, Miss Carney, you tell me why you repossessed the car.
During our transaction of the car, the salesman said that there was a mark in the credit report that you could not put it in her name. It had to be in my name solely. I asked her, are you willing to put it in your name once you clear up your credit? And she said yes, because one of the black thing that's on the credit is a mistake, and I can clear that, and I'll be glad to do it. And with that promise, I went ahead and allowed it to be in my name, knowing that I could be liable if anything would happen. Right before repossession, I was told that it was wrecked, and she was still driving it around. So I repossessed it. I took the car to a repair shop, and I have the receipts for both of them.
Where is the car now, Miss Carney?
I resold it. I had to fix it, and somebody else did.
Just a second. You sold it?
Yeah.
What did you sell it for?
$7,000.
Who did you sell it to?
To my daughter's friend.
She's taking over the payment. She didn't sell it. And the car was not wrecked when whoever picked it up took it.
Yes, it was.
Just a second.
There was nothing wrong with the car when it was taken from me.
Oh,
I was at work, and when I went out, the car was gone. There was nothing wrong with the car.
Do you have photographs of the car when the car was taken?
No, I didn't take any. The only thing that was apparent was a broken windshield. It was cracked. But what made it so expensive is that both airbags were deflated.
Your problem is that you dropped the insurance and continued to drive in the car. And if you did that, that rendered your grandmother liable. If you had an accident and hurt somebody, and the car is in her name, they can take her house, they can get a judgment against her. So in my judgment, she had an absolute right, based upon the fact that you had no insurance, even though she might not have known it at the time, to take back the car. So you acted irresponsibly. So on your counterclaim, you're getting nothing. My problem is, Ms. Carney, that you took it upon yourself to gratuitously fix this car. You can't render her liable for that. And you're not going to get any money either. Do you have a car now?
Yes, I do.
What kind of a car do you have?
A 2001 Hyundai Elantra.
How'd you get it?
I financed it in October of 2000.
So right after your grandmother took back this car? So that you could have done what your grandmother asked you to do in
Not back in June,
September.
I couldn't have.
Well, did you call her in August and tell her you could do it?
No, I did not.
No. Your counterclaim's dismissed. So's your lawsuit.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
20-year-old student Marilyn James is suing former neighbor, 27-year-old business owner Ryan Johnson. Marilyn claims Ryan broke into her apartment and used it while she was on summer break.
Come to order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 287 on the calendar in the matter of James versus Johnson.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss James, you go to college.
Yes.
According to what I read, you rented an apartment while you were in college. And you had that apartment during your junior year or your sophomore year?
I moved into it in my sophomore year in college.
And then the semester was over and you were going to go home for the summer.
Yes.
Now, according to what I've read, sometime during that year, while you were living there during your sophomore year, the defendant moved in to the premises below you and started a retail business. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that while you were away for the summer, the defendant not only used your premises, let himself into your apartment and used it, but did some damage to the apartment, and you want him to compensate you for the rent that you paid for the 3 months that you were away. You were away May, June, July, and you came back sometime in August, according to your papers. Is that right?
Yes.
The defendant has a mixed bag of answers. He says it's all the landlord's fault. That's what he says. So, tell me what happened when you first met Mr. Johnson when he moved in.
Basically, my apartment is the largest apartment. There are 3 apartments above the cigar shop, which he had opened. And my apartment is a 4-bedroom, and it leads to the cigar shop. And basically...
What do you mean, there's a stairway to the cigar
Yes, I have pictures for you, Your Honor.
I'd like to see it.
Sure.
Just to give me some idea.
This is the damage that was also done to my apartment. It's in order of what happened.
Good. Okay.
Basically, that's the front door. When he first moved in, he came and he changed the lock on the front door. You can see in the picture. Basically, we didn't even have keys to the front door lock. I live with 3 other people as well as the other tenants above the apartment. And basically, he changed the lock and no one had keys.
So did you talk to him about it?
Yes, we confronted Ryan about it. And then I was also told that he was inquiring about my apartment because it led to the cigar shop. And that I was told that he said he was going to get my apartment. So I confronted Mr. Johnson about it, and of course he denied it. However, 2 days before I left, the neighbors moved out. My next door neighbors, which was a 2-bedroom. And Mr. Johnson moved in. So
to the 2-bedroom?
To the 2-bedroom, right next door to mine.
So far, is that correct that you moved into the 2-bedroom?
That is. Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
So basically, I left, I let my landlord know I would be gone for 3 months.
Okay.
So
now, when you say you let your landlord know you were leaving, you also paid your rent for the whole summer.
Yes.
You
I've been paying
prepaid your rent.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I have those check stubs.
I'd like to see them, please.
Basically, I made monthly routine calls to my landlord because my landlord is elderly. He's very elderly. And sometimes, I don't want to be rude, but sometimes a little senile. So I basically made calls every month to check on my apartment. Ryan also knew that I was leaving for the summer.
When you say he knew, did you ever tell him that you were leaving for the summer?
Yes. When I confronted him about him getting my apartment, I let him know that I was going to be gone for 3 months, and I didn't appreciate if that was the case for him to say that. Exactly.
But you were coming back in the fall.
But I was coming back in the fall.
Another question. When you left for the summer, did you leave anything in the apartment, furniture, any clothes?
I took all my big stuff, and I took that and I put it in storage. However, I left like my bedroom. I put my couch into my room, and I locked my doors. All the bedroom doors, I locked them all.
Okay, so that there was furniture in the apartment?
Yes.
Bedroom set?
Yes.
What about any clothes? Were there any clothes
there?
Any
Clothes.
toiletries?
There were clothes, there were toiletries, there was food, there were things like that. I left my utility bills, my electricity and water turned on because I had a security system. And basically I needed that to be on. So anyways, I left and I made a routine call to my landlord. I think it was August 9th when I made the phone call. And basically she told me she wasn't sure who, but someone had been in my apartment. So frantically I called the police. I received a phone call back saying that the police reported it was a false alarm. I was at work and I received a phone call from the defendant. He got my number from someone I had called locally. I knew someone locally, and they went over and they gave him my number. I asked Ryan how was my apartment, what was going on. I was told someone was in my apartment. He told me, he reassured me that nothing was wrong with my apartment. He said that someone had broken into the cigar shop about a month prior and that he had caught them in the stairwell leading to my apartment and that he and my landlord had fixed my door. I said, well, that means my door was broke, so what did they do? Did my alarm system go off? He was like, I don't know. It didn't make any sense to me, but I didn't want to pursue it. He asked me at that time, he told me, well, the landlord has made me building manager and it would be in your best interest for you to allow me to use your kitchen. During the school year, I want to open up a restaurant. So I let the defendant know that, I'm going to school and I don't want to be in that type of environment. So I said, you know, we'll talk about it more when I get there, because I knew that he was in a position where he could break into my apartment and do what he wanted to when I'm thousands of miles away. When I came home, that's what I saw. I walked upstairs, and the door leading to the cigar shop had been kicked down completely. It was kicked down. I walked in, my security system was ripped out of the wall, the siren, the keypad, everything. My apartment, I had cleaned my apartment before I left. My apartment was filthy. My kitchen floor was disgusting. The counters were disgusting. They had put burn holes into the contact paper. It was like total disrespect. There was someone else's food in the refrigerator. Basically, my apartment was a wreck. I went into the bathroom, and someone had been using the tub. The tub was disgusting. There were washcloths, trash everywhere.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Johnson. I read your papers, sir. Now, it is clear, Mr. Johnson, from reading between the lines, you wanted Miss James's apartment, right?
Correct.
And it's clear that you were not happy that she was not prepared to turn over her apartment to you. Also correct?
Correct.
Then you say you don't know who was in her apartment.
Well, what I did was, I know how her attitude is.
I'm not interested in her attitude.
Okay, I understand.
Just worry about my attitude.
My landlord.
My attitude. I want to know whether you're saying to me now that the statement you made in your answer is true, that you don't know who was in her apartment.
I don't know who broke into her apartment, no.
I want to know if you know who was in and used her apartment.
No, I do not.
Okay. That's what you said in the first part of your answer, and then you sort of tripped over your own tie, because then you say in another paragraph where you probably forgot, the landlords are very old people, and I was paying rent on her apartment too.
That's after the fact.
No, that's not what you say after the fact. You said, and we were both paying rent for the same apartment unit, which means clear, it's English, that you were paying rent to the landlord for her apartment during the summer. That's what you wrote here, so I assume that's true.
That is true.
Well, so now we got it true. So let me see your receipts from the landlord for the summer months.
I don't have them with me right now.
Well, what'd you think you were coming here for, sir? An audition?
No, ma'am.
All right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They pried open one of the bedroom doors and hung baby decorations on the wall.
You have a wife?
Yes.
She was pregnant at the time?
Well, I don't know what happened. Whoever broke
You
into
don't know nothing.
And later today,
I couldn't even let her mother know about the loan.
I'm not asking you to tell her mother. I'm asking you to tell me.
Show the judge the canceled check for $2,000.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Marilyn James is suing former neighbor Ryan Johnson for breaking into her apartment and using it while she was away.
Okay. Now, I assume that when somebody pays rent on a premises, they pay rent on a premises because they want to use it. Right?
Right.
And they would be stupid to pay rent on a premises that they didn't want to make use of, right?
Right.
So why would you pay rent on a premises during any part of the summer and not use it?
Well, we're getting prepared for a sports bar, and we weren't living. We weren't going to live there.
That's what you were going to prepare it for.
That's right.
But in the meantime, you were living next door in a two-bedroom apartment. According to the plaintiff, you have a wife.
Yes.
She was pregnant at the time.
Correct.
You have other children.
Yes.
How many?
Just one.
So you have 2 children.
Yes.
And you and your wife, right? And the need for a little more space because her apartment's much bigger than yours, right?
Right.
And you say in your complaint that one of the things you found when you came home was evidence of a baby shower.
It was baby decorations on the wall. They pried open one of the bedroom doors and hung baby decorations on the wall.
You think a burglar would make a baby shower? Hama?
No, ma'am.
So I'm going to ask you whether you used any part of that apartment for a baby shower.
I did not use anything.
Not you.
Not
Your
me.
what? Her friends.
She might have. I'm not sure.
Might have.
The
She
apartment
just
was
a second.
open. The apartment was
might
open
have.
during the whole time.
Oh, the apartment shouldn't have been open, sir. She called you.
Yes, she did.
He called me.
I did.
You called her, she called you. You said your apartment's okay.
It was okay.
How could her apartment be okay if it was open?
Well, I don't know what happened. Whoever broke
You don't
into
know nothing.
Whoever broke into the apartment.
You
was
broke
trying,
into the apartment.
Judge Judy, I didn't break into
Yes,
the
you
apartment.
did. Oh, yes, you did, sir.
No, I didn't.
You want... I'm going to read you the last line here of your answer, sir. Currently, I am working out a lease to turn the entire second floor into a sports bar.
Yes.
Did you make that decision after she got disgusted and moved out? Or did you think about that before?
Well, when she called me and let me
Just
know.
answer my question.
After the fact, yes.
Afterwards.
Yes.
You're a liar. You just told me before that you had thought about moving the cigar business into a much larger establishment before she went away for the summer.
No, I was never going to move my cigar business anywhere.
No, you were making it into a larger establishment
Well, a different establishment.
before she moved away for the summer.
I was thinking about it, yes. But I never
That's
acted
what
on
I
it.
asked you, sir. You were thinking about it. Now, do you live in the two-bedroom apartment upstairs?
Yes, I do.
Do you plan on continuing to live there?
Yes.
And you're just going to use her four-bedroom apartment as the sports bar.
Well, the entire floor is going to be used as a sports bar.
That's a big plan. You mean that plan was hatched overnight? Listen, Mr. Johnson, what you did to this young lady was wrong. You figured she's a college student, she has no way of fighting back, she has nothing else to do but accept what you're doing and making her life miserable. You used her apartment, you, your wife, her friends, your family, I don't know who used it. You rendered it uninhabitable. And that's the wrong thing to do. You took advantage of her. You wouldn't like somebody to come in once you've got your cigar business going and say, I think I want this building for something else. We make his life as a tenant miserable, so he's going to move out because I want to turn this building into condos. That's what you did. That's clear to me what you did. It's wrong, and you're going to pay her. And you are seeking $1,700?
Yes.
Some of it in punitive damages?
No, actually, it's all in bills.
Well, that's very unfortunate, because I would have awarded you punitive damages against this man, because I think that what he did was by design. I think that it was purposeful. I think that he knew what he was doing was wrong. I think he knew what he was doing was illegal. And I think he didn't care. So I'm awarding you what you're requesting. The amount of your claim is $1,731.90.
Yes.
You're going to get every cent that you're suing for. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's
Thank
all.
you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I feel like finally there's some justice served.
I guess she was mad at me about the whole situation. But I don't have no hard feelings.
I've tried to speak to the DA, I've spoke to police officers, and finally, Judge Judy, she finally gave me justice.
And now the next case.
All parties on Jones versus Thomas. Step forward.
20-year-old student Holly Ann Jones is suing her former friend, 21-year-old computer operator Ryan Thomas, for an unpaid loan to buy a motorcycle. Ryan says he paid her.
All right, let's get to what we agree on. Miss Jones, you and the defendant were friends a couple of years ago. He wanted to buy a motorcycle. He had no money. According to you, you lent him $3,000 on condition that he repay you.
Yeah, I lent him $2,000 for the amount of the motorcycle, and then he was to give me, in the contracts it signed that he was to give me 10% interest for 10 months.
Okay, let me see the contract. Anyway, he didn't pay you.
Yeah, and he ended up,
According
he
to you.
hasn't given me any money.
You want your money.
Right.
Plus the interest.
Right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You live on a trust fund?
No, not right now.
She piddled away $80,000 in probably a year and a half.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Holly Ann Jones says former friend Ryan Thomas owes her for a loan to buy a motorcycle.
According to your complaint, the reason you didn't sue before was because you couldn't find him. He kept moving. He went to his mother's house, then he went away, then he came back to his mother's house, whatever.
Right.
He says he paid you. Okay, so there is no issue as to the fact that she gave you this money, correct?
Yes, she bought me the bike, Your Honor.
Okay, so now it's up to you, sir. I don't even have to hear anything else from her right now. Prove to me that you paid her back.
Miss Jones loaned me the money because I had a friend that was selling the bike. I had money coming to me. I was selling a dirt bike at the time, and I was managing a restaurant in Meridian. I paid Holly back. 3-4 days after I got the bike, I got the bill of sale, was able to title the bike. If you read the contract, it states that...
Can I say something?
Shh, not yet, not yet.
If the bike wasn't paid for, she would retain title and bill of sale. I have title here. It acts as a receipt, basically.
Show me your canceled check for $2,000.
A what?
The payment, Ryan.
Would you do me a big... Just, shh. Sorry. Since you didn't understand
I'm sorry.
that sentence,
okay.
I'm going to have Officer Byrd repeat it to you.
Show the judge a canceled check for $2,000.
There was never any canceled check.
How'd you pay her, in wampum?
I paid her with cash.
Show me the money order, withdrawal from a bank.
I didn't do any of that, Your Honor. It was to my attention that I couldn't even let her mother know about the loan. It was all secrecy.
I'm not asking you to tell her mother. I'm asking you to tell me, Mr.
There was
Thomas.
never any receipts given between the two of us,
I didn't ask
period.
you for a receipt, Mr. Thomas.
Okay.
I said, show me, pay attention, show me a bank withdrawal for $2,000 in cash.
I didn't have a bank account at the time, Your Honor.
Show me a money order.
Didn't give her one.
Didn't give me anything.
Shh. Sorry. Now, Mr. Thomas, why would you think that the plaintiff would sue you for this money and pursue you over the last 2 years, which she has, right?
Yep.
Called your mother, right?
Right.
Said, where is he? I'd like him to start paying me back. Does she suffer from any psychiatric disabilities that you know of?
Not that I know of, no.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Okay. You can't think of any reason why over the last 2 years she would pursue you
I think
for money.
she's-
Shh. You have to let
You're
me
right,
finish my sentence. Why she would pursue you for money that you had already paid her back. Why do you think she would do that? Do you live on a trust fund?
No, not right now.
Why all of a sudden would she become psychotic and forgetful? Now you can answer me.
She's not living on her inheritance anymore because it's spent. She wants some more money. I don't know what she piddled away $80,000 in probably a year and a half.
Let me understand this. You were friends. Did you know at the time that she'd come into an inheritance?
Yes, Your Honor, I was there when she got her first check.
Oh, was that the time when you asked to borrow the money for the motorcycle?
Shortly after that, yes.
And she had all this money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have a canceled check, right? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Thank you, Judge Judy.
You may step out.
Judge Judy, 2-year-old carpet layer Christopher Majeski is suing his ex-girlfriend, 22-year-old homemaker Tracy Yamry, for belongings he claims she took from a storage shed. Tracy is countersuing, claiming Christopher broke into her home.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 194 on the calendar in the matter of Majeski versus Yamry. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Majeski, according to what I've read, sir, you and the defendant were involved in a relationship, lived together in various places, and the two of you rented a storage unit, right?
Correct.
The storage unit was in her name.
Correct.
And when you ultimately broke up, you took your stuff out of the storage unit.
Yes.
But you asked to keep the storage unit because you still had stuff there.
Right.
And the agreement was you were supposed to make the payments on the storage unit because she didn't have any stuff there anymore. Right?
Right.
Then, according to you, you started to receive delinquent notices from the storage unit.
About 3 months after I left and went back to my mother's house, I was receiving delinquent notices that the rent hasn't been paid. And I was
On the storage unit?
Yeah, on the storage unit. I called him numerous times asking him to pay this off. And he, oh, I'll do it, I'll do it.
Does that have a ring to it, sir?
Yes.
So you went to the storage unit and you cleaned it out?
Yes. No, I didn't clear it out. I took what I could take or what I thought would be the amount that he owed me. I had my cousin's boyfriend's
What do you mean the
truck.
amount he owed you? What is
for
that?
the for the storage shed, about the $100. I rounded it up to $100. I got $80 that he owed.
Did you pay for the storage unit?
No, I didn't.
So what did he owe you money for?
I wanted to take this as collateral to know that he would pay off the storage shed.
What did you take with you?
A couple lamps, a microwave, a kitchen set, and there was a couple miscellaneous boxes with miscellaneous stuff in it.
Okay, what was left?
Everything else that was in his storage shed, everything else.
And what did you do when you left the storage shed?
I shut it back up and locked it, and then I left.
Ultimately, you went to the storage unit and found it emptied out. And you would still, at that point, delinquent in payments.
Yes.
So the question is, what happened to the rest of his stuff?
I don't know.
Well, let me see the police report. What proof do you have that she took all your stuff?
Because some of the stuff that she gave back were in different boxes, all little figurines and stuff from Las Vegas that my mom had given me. They were all in different boxes. She took the vacuum cleaner that I did not get back yet. I seen in her apartment, and a couple other odd items.
What do you want to say? You could stand up. Go ahead.
Tracy had said that she only wanted the $100, take $100 worth. Well, just what she mentioned was well over $100 worth.
He got it back.
Not all of it.
Got back most of it. You have his vacuum cleaner?
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. We've seen it in there.
You have any other stuff that belongs to him?
No, I don't. And I would like to point out that on August 26th of this year, my witness, Mark, was at a bar downtown in St. Cloud. And Chris approached Mark in the bar. Can I have him come up?
I assume you have something to say. You're Mark.
Hi, yes, I'm Mark.
Go ahead.
Chris had noticed me up on stage in a bar. I was doing some dancing. He came up to me and he said, "Mark, I'm sorry for everything that's going on. I dropped the case because I don't think Tracy has my stuff anymore. I think he has it," which is another guy I don't know. I have no idea who he is.
Who's?
This is another friend that I suspected him and her taking it. Because
So first you thought it was somebody else that took your property?
I thought it was.
Hmm?
Yes, I had.
And how did you retrieve the rest of your stuff? The stuff that she had in her apartment?
She later on gave it to my mom, but the vacuum cleaner's still not there, and it wasn't in the
Stop with the
apartment.
vacuum cleaner. What did she give back to your mom?
A microwave, bookshelf, dresser, a box of like a few movies, little odd things, kitchen utensils, and that's about it.
Did you need a little truck to go and get the stuff?
Yeah, the dresser was big.
So she gave that back to your mom. Good. And she called you and she said, "This is the time you can come pick it up"?
The police called, but there wasn't everything in there that was supposed to take it.
Well, we don't know that she took it, madam. That's your problem.
Well,
Your
I was
son
in
was
her
not
apart-
responsible. Your son was not responsible in making the payments as he should have. Did you know he was supposed to make payments on this storage unit?
He is of age, and that I guess that was none of my business.
Good. You're absolutely right. Have a seat. Now I'm going to hear about your counterclaim, and I want to hear about it quickly.
After our mutual friend showed up at our apartment that day.
Which mutual friend?
Erica.
Yeah?
I was laying on my couch. I was about 6 months pregnant. This was in November. I was about 6 months pregnant.
November of '99?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Mark had left to go to work, and he locked the door every morning. Every morning I went onto the couch because it was easier for me to sleep on the couch. I heard him lock the door that morning. I was awake. Then I fell back asleep. About 10 o'clock, I woke up and I heard somebody calling my name. And at first, I thought it was maybe an older woman in our apartment that needed my help. And I'm like, no, the door is locked. And I woke up and I saw Chris standing in my dining room, and I saw his mom off in my little hallway area. And I woke up and I was confused. I didn't know what was going on. And I asked them, like, how did you guys get in my apartment? And they're like, you know why we're here. And I'm like, you guys need to leave my apartment. And they weren't leaving. I was yelling at the top of my lungs for them to leave. In the meantime, Chris is walking around my apartment, just helping himself in. I told them to leave again. They would not leave. I got frustrated. I walked out of my apartment, and that's when they exited my apartment. I walked down to the caretaker's apartment building, paged Mark with the labor code so he knew to come home right away, and called the cops.
Let me see the police report.
I called the cops.
They wouldn't give me a police report. They said that it was hearsay, that he said the door was unlocked, and I know the door was locked.
Just a second.
And they
Just a
said
second.
they said it was hearsay.
You acknowledge that you and your mother went to the apartment. Yes. What were you doing there in November?
November?
Yeah.
When I got my stuff back.
No, in November, when you and your mom went to her house.
We didn't go to her house in November.
When did you go to her house?
This was just this year that we went. I finally found my stuff back this year. It was way more than 6 months, Your Honor.
Just a second. It was more than 6 months?
Yes.
So your stuff stayed in her house even longer than you said?
As far as I can remember.
So you, just a minute, according to you, your stuff stayed in her house even longer than 6 months?
Yes.
Well, what'd you wait so long for, sir?
You didn't know she had it.
Shh! What'd you wait so long for?
I didn't know she had it, Your Honor.
Just a second. You made a police report in March of 1999. Now you're telling me that it wasn't until 2000 that you went to her house to get your stuff back.
No, the police report, Your Honor, was the only police report I have is from the day it was stolen from the storage shed.
No, you don't know the day it was stolen from the storage shed.
Well, the day I found it.
The day you found it, which was in March of 1999. So in March of 1999, if you believe stuff is stolen from your storage shed, you go to the police and you say, I believe I know the person who did it. In March of 99, they will go to her house and say, do you have her property? You ask for an escort. You didn't go in March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. According to you, you didn't go until the year 2000 sometime, which is at least 10 or 11 months later. Why?
Because I didn't know she had it, Your Honor. I suspected her and Josh, and I didn't know it was her.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christopher Majeski says ex-girlfriend Tracy Yamry stole his belongings out of a storage shed.
How did you get into the house?
We knocked on the door, and we opened the door. My mom called her name and walked in. There was no...
You can't do that. You can't do that.
Tracy said yes. She pretty much invited us in. She said
no,
yes.
now you're lying, sir.
No. That's
now you're lying.
She said yes. She replied.
I don't believe you.
Well, she said.
I don't believe you.
And we knocked
you
on
mean
the door,
after
called
10
her name,
months?
and she replied.
After 10 months, you arrive at her house with your mother, and what you said was, put your hand down. You knocked at the door, and the door was open, so you walked in. That's what you said. That's what you said.
The police officers looked at the door.
Can't do that.
The police officers agreed that there was no forced entry, nothing was wrong.
It doesn't have to be a forced entry. I didn't say there was a forced entry. You mean if somebody comes to my door, knocks at my door, which happens to be open, and I choose not to respond, that person who's knocking at my door has a right to walk into my house?
She responded,
is that what you're...
Your Honor.
No, you
Yes.
just made that up.
No, she
You just
responded-
made that up.
She
Because
responded by
first...
saying yes.
No, it's not true.
She even said it. She said, yes, who is it? You know, she thought it was somebody else, and she replied yes. Like, question like, yes, who is it?
Yes. Oh, like, yes, who is it? Okay, yes, who is it? And what did you say?
We just walked in. My mom
Then you just walked in. Why didn't you answer? You mean to tell me
Look, Your
because
Honor.
somebody says, yes, who is it, you're entitled to walk in?
We called the police, and they couldn't do nothing for us. What else was I supposed
Your
to do?
case is dismissed, sir. You're full of baloney. As far as you breaking and entering, I'm awarding you $1. This is a long time ago, madam.
Thank
Right?
you.
You understand? You get $1 on your counterclaim. You get Zippo.
What?
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She wasn't sleeping. First she said she was awake, hearing him unlock the door. Second she said she was sleeping, waking up to us. You know, it's just, she lied through the whole thing. That's what she does best.
He's trouble. He's a troublemaker.
And now the next case.
All parties on Cento versus Hamrick. Step forward, please.
22-year-old mold setter Chrissy Settle is suing her brother, 24-year-old factory worker Gary Hamrick, for an unpaid loan and a wrecked Buick.
Miss Sentel, the defendant is your brother.
Yes.
And there are several parts of your complaint. Let's deal with the easy ones first. There was a time when your brother was living with you. When was that?
June through September.
Of this year?
Yes.
And you claim that during that time, he borrowed some money. You didn't specify how much, that he hasn't paid you back. And you also said that when he left in September, there was a substantial phone bill that was left unpaid. So let's deal with that first, and then we'll get to the big part of your claim.
Okay.
How much money did you loan to him, and when?
I lent him $403, September 5th.
For what?
A vehicle payment, his Blazer. He told me that if he didn't get this payment, then he would lose the Blazer, and I didn't want him to lose the Blazer, so I gave him the $403.
Is that right?
That is correct.
Did you pay her back?
I paid her back $200 right off the back, and then I paid the other half of that back in the beginning of September. She claims she didn't receive it. There was a very big confusion. We had a county fair going on at the time. The date that I was supposed to pay her back, that she had some paperwork she was supposed to give me to take it to the bank, it wasn't there.
That evening, I went to the fair looking for her, and I gave them, because my son was with her at an event. I put the money in his coat because she needed the coat for him. I wanted to make sure she got the money.
Just a minute. You put cash in your son's coat?
That is correct. I was supposed to take the coat up to her.
Yes.
Getting into the event, I could not find them, and I gave it to a mutual friend of ours to give to her. The next morning, talking to her, she claimed she did not receive the money.
Well, so then you didn't give her the money. You never gave her that extra $203. Is that what you say you put in the coat pocket in cash?
Yes. Well, that, and it was a total of $220 some in there. A total of 220 some.
228, Your Honor. I had lent him $25 previous for some cash for gas and that for the Blazer. And so he was supposed to put the $228 in the bank. We were busy at the fair and that.
Whatever.
Right.
You don't put cash in a coat pocket and then give the coat pocket to one person to give it to your sister at a fair when everybody's very busy. So she didn't receive the money and you never actually handed it to her, so she never got it. So you didn't pay her back.
Well, I did put it in there and I did send it, but she must not have received it as she claims.
So that's $228. And what about the phone bill?
The phone bill, Your Honor, I've got right here, and I've got summed up to $242.08.
Show it to him, please.
I've never received this before.
Right. I had spoke to him about it, Your Honor. There are, and I told him that there was a phone bill. He agreed. I told him there was a couple calls on there that added up to, one phone call was like $99, $98, and he agreed to it. He knew it. He said, fine, I'll do what I can do. He hasn't been able
I wanted
to do
to look
that.
at the bill first.
Well, so now take a look at it, sir.
Okay. At this time, it's hard for me to tell you exactly how many of these calls are mine.
Well, this is the time. Now let me have the bill, please. Now let's hear about the big part of this, which is a car. According to you, your brother wanted a car that you had. You agreed to sell him the car for $1,000.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
What'd you need another car for? You had a Blazer.
Correct. I was going out of town. And after the Buick was wrecked, they went back on their word, said they did not want to sell it to us. They were going to take the money.
You agreed to purchase the Buick from your sister for $1,000.
Total of $1,000.
Your sister says she did not transfer title to you.
Correct.
Because you hadn't started making the payments yet.
Correct.
Is that right?
That is correct.
But she let you use the car.
Correct.
She says with the understanding that until you had your own insurance, you were the only one who was going to drive the car.
Not true.
Your Honor, that is true. I called him from work.
That is not true.
I told my husband and my mother.
I don't want to hear your husband and your mother.
Sorry.
Husband and your mother has nothing to do with him.
I called him while I was at work. I called him while he was at home. That weekend, he told me that he was going to buy the Buick for her, which at that time he was getting ready to leave town and move to Michigan with this other girl. Okay? So he wanted to buy this Buick for her. I told him, fine. Nobody else drives it but you. You're covered. She is not. You make sure you get insurance. He said, I'll do that first thing Monday morning. I said, fine, that's great. Nobody else drives it. He said, okay, I got it.
Not true.
Shh, 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 shh. Mr. Hamrick, you'll have an opportunity, sir. Go ahead.
And he knew that because he was driving it before. He was covered.
They knew I was leaving town. They knew that Heather needed the vehicle to drive to work. They knew she was driving it.
Who's
they?
They?
Gave me. I never discued with my brother-in-law. I did all talking with my sister.
Oh,
she did know. She did know that Heather was driving it.
The lawsuit says while he was using the car, he let his girlfriend drive the car.
Correct.
She was in an accident where the car was damaged, impounded.
Yes.
And she was hospitalized. For how long were you hospitalized?
I just went to the emergency room.
They picked her up by ambulance.
I asked her a question. She can talk. What kind of damage was done to the car?
Your Honor, I've got a bill here and some photos.
Can I see it, please?
Yes. Now, they spoke with my husband.
You know what? I don't care what they said with your husband. All right, so let's see. So somebody hit you in the rear?
No, it was just me in the accident.
But you do have insurance?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. And I've got a statement here for that also.
I'd like to see the statement.
No.
I also have a copy of her medical bills from the accident.
So what does that have to do with this case?
Well, like you said, they're carrying the insurance on it. The medical should have covered her medical bills for that. There was no disagreement about her driving the car.
Your Honor,
no
it's on
Just a
this
second. Does
statement.
she have her own insurance?
Yes.
She was in an accident with nobody else but herself. Why did she pay her own medical bills?
because there was medical insurance on the car at the time that they knew she was driving it, and that was the same day that was agreed upon that I would put insurance on the car. Knowingly that she was driving it, they kept their insurance on it till I put my insurance on it.
Well, you didn't understand what I'm saying to you. She was in an accident all by herself, which means the accident was totally her fault.
Correct.
Why should your sister have her insurance pay for her medical bills when there is a possibility if she does that, her insurance premiums will go up as a result of her negligence? Let her pay her own medical bills. She had the accident. She caused the accident. She should pay her own medical bills. Now your sister is out, her car, and $1,000.
Which didn't have to be.
Shh, just a minute. Who should pay for that?
I should have paid for the car as originally agreed.
Good.
Only.
That's what you're going to pay. $1,000 to the car because you let a girlfriend over here drive it. Your girlfriend's going to pay for her own medical bills because she had the accident. She drove herself into a ditch. And you're going to pay $475 that you owe your sister for your phone bill and for the remaining cash that you put in the coat pocket and gave to some clown at a fair.
That doesn't total up to $475, Your Honor.
Oh, it does to me, sir. It does to me.
You're adding the cash on top
phone
of that?
bill, and $228. $475 plus $1,000.
Okay.
$1,475. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Ada, baros jalan dung tar mare pada. Baran aja ki.
Zed, Opi, TJ. Wapadak sih. Haduk Maharaj. अच्छा ये वाला पाइप क्रॉस करना है मैंने ठीक है और शर्त क्या है अपनी मोबाइल दे दोगे मुझे ठीक है भाई आप गवाओ डन है या एक दफ़ा सोच लिए देख ले दूसरा मोबाइल लेना नहीं पड़ेगा भाई चैलेंज शुरू हो गया है मैं तैयार हूँ अपने नए शूज़ पहन के इसको क्रॉस करने के लिए भाई अभी भी अपने चैलेंज पे कायम है